Instead, he waved the Qinglian sword and slashed forward. Clang! The saber and sword collided. Blood-Eye shuddered, and the blood glint in his eyes dimmed rapidly. His life force dissipated, and he died on the spot. There were no obvious injuries on his body. However, his essence spirit within his consciousness was penetrated by the Qinglian sword qi released by the Qingping sword. That was the killing power of the Qingping sword. Not only was the Qingping sword an incomparably sharp divine weapon, it could also release an attack that targeted the essence spirit during a fight. Blood-Eye had just defended against the reverse scale when the power of his essence spirit was depleted. He could not defend against the attack of the Qingping sword at all. Blood-Eye from the evil spirit's sinful ground, one of the 10 evil fiends, had his essence spirit destroyed and his Tao dissipated. The entire process happened extremely quickly. It was as though Su Zimo was fighting 2 evil fiends at the same time alone. In less than 10 breaths, both evil fiends were dead. Including the Yaksha ghost spirit from before, 3 of the 10 evil fiends were dead. The 10 evil fiends naturally had their own capabilities to be able to reign supreme in the evil fiend battlefield for so many years. However, the 3 of them made a mistake this time round and chose the wrong opponent. Of the remaining 7 of the 10 evil fiends, the linen-robed swordsman Luo Jun had never thought of attacking Su Zimo right from the beginning. The black-robed woman seemed to have sensed something from Su Zimo and did not have any enmity towards him. The other 5 more or less had similar thoughts before this. However, when they saw that the Yaksha ghost spirit, Fiend Celestial, and Blood-Eye were dead, the 5 evil fiends immediately gave up on the thought of attacking. They retreated one after another and fled the battlefield, trying their best to distance themselves from Su Zimo. At that moment, Su Zimo was like a devil in the eyes of the evil fiends. Even the Dark Knight Spectre, who was also one of the evil fiends back then, did not bring them such fear. After Su Zimo killed the 3 evil fiends in succession, his expression changed. He noticed that there were true spirit experts behind him trying to fish in troubled waters, wanting to steal the corpses of the supreme true spirits that had just died. Su Zimo had just killed more than 20 supreme true spirits and did not stop. He did not have time to clean up the battlefield and kept the Tao fruits in the bodies of these supreme true spirits. At that moment, some true spirit experts wanted to take the opportunity to steal the Tao fruits of the supreme true spirits when they saw Su Zimo killing his way into the evil fiends and sinful spirits. A perfectly preserved supreme true spirit Tao fruit required a full 5,000 battle merits to exchange for in the treasure pagoda. With their combat strength, it was impossible for them to obtain 5,000 battle merits. And there were more than 20 ready-made supreme true spirit Tao fruits in front of them. In front of a huge temptation, there were ultimately people who could not hold back and took the risk. But they did not expect that Su Zimo had already turned around and charged back after rapidly killing the 3 great evil fiends. Boom! Su Zimo formed 2 Buddhist seals with both hands and smashed them towards the few true spirit experts on the battlefield. Great Vajrawil seal. Great Meru mountain seal. In an instant, 2 incomparably majestic mountain peaks that towered into the clouds appeared in Su Zimo's hands, smashing down with an unstoppable aura. Bang! Some true spirits were smashed into pieces. Their essence spirits were lucky enough to escape and hurriedly took out the heaven worship token, leaving the evil fiend battlefield. Some were crushed by the great Meru mountain and turned into a cloud of blood mist, dying on the spot. When the 2 Buddhist mountain peaks descended, the group of true spirit experts immediately scattered like birds and beasts, fleeing in all directions in a wretched state. Su Zimo in his 4-headed and 8-armed state rampaged through the battlefield, killing in all directions. Everywhere he passed, everyone retreated. No one dared to face him head-on. If you like Eternal Holy King, please add it to your collection. Eternal Holy King Fighting Bar updates the fastest. Chapter 2885. On Skytribute Square. Many kings from the 3,000 worlds were shocked when they saw this scene. They sighed in their hearts. This time, the true spirit experts of the 3,000 worlds had gathered on the fiend battlefield. Everyone had expected that there would be a fierce and bloody battle between the true spirits of the 3,000 worlds and the fiend sinful spirits. But no one had expected the situation to be like this. This battle was far more tragic than what the kings had imagined. In just one battle alone, 21 supreme true spirits from the 3,000 worlds had died. More than half of the top 10 on the battle merit Jade Steel had died. Shui One from the Blood World was scared, and his face was pale. When he had taken out the Sky Tribute token and fled back to Sky Tribute Square, he had thought that he would be humiliated and become a laughingstock. But now, he was the only one who had survived after provoking that person's true spirit. This was not something to be embarrassed about. Perhaps, this could be something he could brag about. He could even imagine what everyone would be talking about once news of this battle spread. That battle was so fierce that the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Facing Su Zhu from the Sword World, more than 20 true spirits died. Only Shui One from the Blood World survived. Thinking of this, Shui Wen's expression softened. He subconsciously puffed out his chest and raised his head slightly. In this battle, 3 of the 10 fiends had died. The Peak Master of the 9th Sword Peak from the Sword World had killed so many people that no one from the 3,000 worlds or the fiend's sinful spirits dared to step forward. If Xia Yin, Divine Sun Ming Hui, and the others could be called true spirits, then this 9th Sword Peak Master of the Sword World was the supreme of supreme, the supreme of all true spirits. He became famous in one battle. The Sword World has really produced a ruthless person. This person is invincible on the fiend battlefield. I wonder what kind of physique this person has. Even after fighting for so long, his aura still hasn't weakened. After all, he has the baptism of 7 true spirits, the Wu Blood King, Stone Puppet King, and the other realm kings who had suffered heavy losses all had ugly expressions. They stared at the fiend battlefield without saying a word. The Cold Eye King still couldn't accept this outcome. He said hatefully, "What are the remaining true spirits doing? Why do you want to avoid it? Why do you want to avoid it? This kid is already an arrow at the end of its flight. So long as they join forces, they'll surely be able to kill this kid and obtain countless treasures." Many kings shook their heads and looked at the Cold Eye King with pity. Everyone could tell that the Cold Eye Monarch had suffered a huge blow. He had already lost his mind. In this situation, Su Zhu's hands were stained with the blood of more than 20 supreme true spirits. Who would dare to recklessly step forward? Who knew if this sword world Su Zhu had any other tricks up her sleeve? Wu Xing, Lu Tan, and the rest of the 18 supreme true spirits teamed up and thought that Su Zhu was bluffing. But what happened in the end? 18 supreme true spirits were completely wiped out. Not a single one was spared. The Void Yaksha and the Blood-Eye Evil Spirit thought that Su Zimo had used up all his trump cards after a series of battles and wanted to take advantage of the situation. But what happened? The 3 demons had all perished. Under such circumstances, who would dare to go up? Immortal King Yulan chuckled and said, "An arrow at the end of its flight? Cold Eye Monarch, what you just said sounds familiar. Have you said it before? Isn't he an arrow at the end of its flight?" The Cold Eye Monarch gritted his teeth and said, "He has already released 7 supreme abilities. Could it be that he has other trump cards? What are these supreme true spirits afraid of? What a bunch of trash." The Cold Eye Monarch lost control of his emotions and began to speak without thinking. His words included many other realms in his scolding. The Divine Phoenix Monarch of the Wudong realm sneered and said, "Your Sky Eye clan Xia Yin is indeed not trash. It's just that there's something wrong with his head." If there's nothing wrong with his head, why would he provoke such a ruthless person? It's fine to provoke him. At most, he'll die. But he thinks he's smart and wants to kill a bunch of people before he dies. The Barbarian Realm Monarch nodded and said in a muffled voice, "If it wasn't for Xia Yin, the others wouldn't have died in the demon battlefield." Again? The Cold Eye Monarch's face was red, and he was so angry that his whole body trembled. Hearing the discussions around them, the people of the Sword World felt a little complicated. For example, some true spirits looked at Su Zimo with excitement and joy. As for the 8 Peak Masters, they were more emotional. This was because they knew that Su Zimo, who had appeared in front of everyone and attracted countless exclamations, had yet to unleash his full strength. At the very least, He had never used the bloodline of the grade 12 green lotus of creation. But even so, with the support of 7 supreme abilities, Su Zimo was already invincible in the true self realm. If there were still any supreme true spirits who didn't know better and wanted to attack him, it was very likely that they would force out the even more terrifying Su Zimo. In reality, the 8 peak masters were worrying too much. After this battle, although there were still many supreme true spirits lingering around, no one dared to rashly step forward. Just now, more than 20 supreme true spirits had died tragically. Even with the heaven bestowment token, they couldn't escape and didn't even have the chance to self-destruct. Who would dare to act rashly? This kind of extreme killing had already formed a strong deterrent force in everyone's hearts. In everyone's eyes, Su Zimo was completely unfathomable. No one knew if they would attract an even more terrifying counterattack if they rashly stepped forward. Even if Su Zimo released his 8th supreme ability now, many supreme true spirits wouldn't be surprised. Chess Immortal Junyu, Lin Xuanjin, Longli, and Mulian stood not far away and exchanged glances with strange expressions. Initially, they wanted to stand on Su Zimo's side and fight the other supreme true spirits to the death. However, they didn't expect that before the 4 of them could attack, Su Zimo would transform into his 4-headed and 8-armed form and kill in all directions. He killed until countless true spirits avoided him and no one dared to step forward. Many corpses were strewn all over the huge battlefield. There were even many corpses of supreme true spirits among them. Not to mention ordinary true spirit experts, just the bodies of more than 20 supreme true spirits were filled with treasures. The storage bags of these supreme true spirits, including the pure young numinous treasures in their hands and the perfectly preserved Tao fruits that were almost flawless. With such rich treasures, who knew how many pairs of eyes were staring at them? But no one dared to step forward. At this time, Su Zimo had already dispersed his 4-headed and 8-armed state. The amplification brought about by the 8 Fangs' divine power had also gradually dissipated. Even so, the deterrent force emitted from his body still made people tremble in fear. Su Zimo cleaned up the battlefield by himself. The most important thing was to collect the Tao fruits of the supreme true spirits. These Tao fruits could help him increase his cultivation realm as quickly as possible. Eternal Holy King's error-free chapters will continue to be updated in the bar. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the bar. If you like Eternal Holy King, please bookmark. Eternal Holy King bar updates the fastest. Chapter 2886. On the Sky Tribute Square, the Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, and the other monarchs had ugly expressions. It was one thing for the supreme true spirits of their realms to die, but if word of this spread, it would be a blow to the reputation of their realms. As such, the 20 or so supreme true spirits became Sword World's Su Zhu's unparalleled reputation. Of course, even if a supreme true spirit died, it wouldn't be a serious blow to the various realms, especially the super realms. However, the Cold Eye Monarch and the others still felt uneasy. They felt an enormous sense of threat and pressure from Su Zhu of Sword Realm. This young man, although he was only a Kongming stage true spirit, although they could casually crush him to death with a single finger. But if he was allowed to continue cultivating, no one knew how strong he would become. 7 supreme superpowers, Brother Cold Eye, Brother Brilliant Sun, Brother Stone Puppet, Brother Shueli, Brother Lu Wu. What are your plans for today's matter? While the Cold Eye Monarch and the others were silent, a voice suddenly sounded in their minds. It came from the Witch World's Blood King Wu. Among the supreme true spirits of the Sky Eye World, Light World, Stone World, Blood World, Golden Crow World, and Witch World, only Xuewan from the Blood World had survived. The other 5 had all died at the hands of Su Zimo. As for the Cold Eye Monarch and the other monarchs, they were the commanders of their respective realms. The Cold Eye Monarch, Brilliant Sun, Stone Puppet Monarch, and the others looked at each other. In fact, they all had the same idea, but no one said it out loud. Brother Blood King Wu, what do you think? Monarch Lu Wu asked. Blood King Wu chuckled and said, I think everyone has the same idea as me. We can't let this kid return to the Sword World alive. We have to eliminate him. The Cold-Eye Monarch and the others didn't say anything. Blood King Wu continued, "After this battle, Sword World's Su Zhu can be said to be invincible in the demonic battlefield. No one will dare to provoke him. It's impossible for him to die in the demonic battlefield," Sunglory said with a frown. "But even if he leaves the evil fiend battlefield and fights in accordance with the restrictions of the Heaven Realm, we still can't do anything to him. The Celestial Tribute World forbids fighting. Can't we just leave the Celestial Tribute World?" Wu Shuiwang asked with a smile. Lord Bloodley narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "Brother Wu Shui, do you mean that when we leave the Celestial Tribute Field, the 6 kings of the superfields should join forces to kill this man?" "It's not just our 6 super interfaces," Blood Shaman King said. "Like the Giant Realm, Poison Realm, Star Realm, these higher realm true spirits just died in Su Zhu's hands. There are also some mid-realm kings. We can also unite them. No matter how strong the 8 peak masters of the Sword World are, they won't be able to withstand the combined attacks of over 20 realm kings. The 8 of them won't be able to protect Su Zhu." Hanmu Monarch and Stone Cave Monarch nodded. The Cold-Eye Monarch had long hated Su Zimo to the bone. If there was a chance to kill him, he would not let it go. As for the enmity between the Stone Realm and the Sword Realm, there was no need to worry. The Stone Cave Monarch was more than happy to join forces with the other 5 great realms to deal with someone from the Sword Realm. God King Rieo, Lord Bloodley, and King Luwu hesitated. For one, if they chose to attack Su Zhu, it would be breaking the unspoken rules between the realms. They would become enemies with the Sword Realm, and might even face its revenge. For another, it wasn't a very honorable thing to do. As Grotto Heaven Realm Kings, killing a true spirit was one thing. 6 great realms joining forces. If they added the Giant Realm, Poison Realm, and other higher realms, and mid-realm kings, there would be over 200 of them. 200 kings against one true spirit wasn't honorable at all. It would damage their reputation. This matter, King Luwu mused. As soon as he opened his mouth, Blood Shaman King seemed to see through their misgivings. He smiled and said, "Fellow Taoists, I can understand your concerns. However, we won't openly target Su Zhu once we're outside the Celestial Tribute Field. We can use the excuse of avenging our race's geniuses to provoke a fight. When the time comes, we'll start a great battle between kings. How intense will that be? Su Zhu of the Sword Realm is just a true spirit. It's perfectly normal for her to die in a battle between kings." Sunglory, King Shueli, and King Luwu's eyes lit up and they nodded. This was a good idea. This way, even if the Sword Realm guessed that they were doing this to kill Su Zhu, they wouldn't have any concrete evidence. As for Sword Realm's revenge, Blood Shaman King chuckled coldly. "As long as our 6 great realms join forces, we don't mind starting a realm war if the Sword Realm dares to retaliate." "That's right." King Shirshua's eyes glinted fiercely. "If our 6 great realms join forces, we can destroy the Sword Realm." The Cold-Eye Monarch also said, "According to what I know, the strongest monarchs in the Sword Realm are already old. Their vitality is declining, and their battle prowess is probably not at its peak." Godly King Rieo, King Shueli, and King Luwu nodded. In truth, the 3 of them also wanted to kill Su Zimo, not only because the true spirits of their realms had been killed by Su Zimo, but more importantly, because of the fear in the depths of their hearts. Su Zimo made them feel a threat from the future. That being said, there's no time limit for staying in the Sky Tribute world after the restrictions are lifted, King Luwu said solemnly. "As long as Su Zhu of the Sword Realm stays in the Sky Tribute world, we can't do anything to him. Don't worry," Blood Shaman King said confidently. "The Sky Tribute world won't allow the beings of the 3,000 realms to stay here forever. As long as the Sky Tribute world is closed, it'll be our chance." At that moment, Godly King Rieo's gaze shifted as he frowned. He suddenly realized that Lu Yun of the Sword Realm had disappeared without him noticing. Sunglory's heart skipped a beat. Could something have happened? If the Sword Realm made preparations and summoned an emperor, that's impossible under normal circumstances, Blood Shaman King smiled. The battle in the fiendish battlefield is only a battle of true spirits after all. It won't alarm emperors. Moreover, our alliance this time was only a spur-of-the-moment idea. How would the Sword Realm know and make preparations in advance? Of course, even if they're prepared, it won't help. Oh, King Shueli, King Luwu, and King Luwu heard the hidden meaning in Blood Shaman King's words and looked over. Blood Shaman King smiled and pretended to be mysterious. Don't worry, no emperors can receive the news from the Sky Tribute world. If you like Eternal Holy King, please add it to your collection. Eternal Holy King Fighting Bar updates the fastest. Chapter 2887. The Wu Blood King, the Cold Eye King, and the other kings from the great worlds had used their spiritual sense to communicate. In the chaotic Sky Tribute Square, it was hard to attract the attention of others. After the six finished their discussion, the Wu Blood King persuaded the other kings from the higher and middle realms to work with them. The true spirits of these realms had just died at the hands of Su Zimo. It wasn't difficult for the Wu Blood King to convince them. He just needed to stir up some hatred and dispel their worries about the Sword World. After a while, Lu Yun walked in. He returned to the Sword World and stood side by side with the other Peak Lords. His expression was calm, and there was nothing wrong with him. Has the news spread out? Yulan asked through her spiritual sense. Lu Yun nodded slightly. After the battle in the Fiend battlefield just now, Lu Yun had already sensed the danger. There was no one in the Fiend battlefield that could threaten Su Zimo. The real danger came from outside the Fiend battlefield. Lu Yun didn't know what the Wu Blood King and the others were doing, but he was worried that Su Zimo's talent would cause the Cold Eye King and the others to break the balance and kill him. Even if there was a 1 in 1,000 chance, he didn't want to take the risk. Su Zimo was the future of the Sword World. He was extremely important, and there couldn't be any mistakes. Furthermore, the Iron Crown Elder would be the first to receive the news if he crushed the message talisman. Even a peak Emperor Realm expert couldn't descend from the Sword World to the Sky Tribute world in an instant. Therefore, Lu Yun crushed the message talisman in advance to inform the Iron Crown Elder to come to the Sky Tribute world first and escort Su Zimo back to the Sword World. Seeing Lu Yun nod, Yulan and the other Peak Lords relaxed. Their tense nerves finally relaxed as they let out a sigh of relief. Just now, the Cold Eye King and the Stone Puppet King had some unusual spiritual sense fluctuations. I don't know what they're plotting. Yulan transmitted. Don't worry. Lu Yun smiled faintly and said, in the face of absolute power, all schemes are nothing. Who cares what they're plotting? Once the Iron Crown Sword Emperor arrives, I'll break it with a sword. The Peak Masters nodded. Some of the true immortals in the Sword World were still talking excitedly about the great battle in the Fiend battlefield. Lu Yun and the others were deep in thought. They were already prepared to deal with the possible dangers in the future. On the Sky Tribute Square, it seemed calm and tranquil, but in reality, there were undercurrents surging. Because of the rules of the Celestial Realm, the kings of the 3,000 realms gathered together. It seemed peaceful, but they just lacked an opportunity. Time trickled by. For the rest of the day, Su Zimo did not engage in a single battle in the Fiend battlefield. Wherever he went, regardless of whether it was the true spirits of the 3,000 worlds or the evil spirits, they would all disperse. No one dared to provoke him. Of course, during this day, he did not spend his energy on other people. It seemed like he was casually walking around the battlefield, but most of the time, he was conserving his energy and recovering his vitality. To him, the true danger did not lie in the evil demon battlefield. Under the guidance of the plain-clothed swordsman Luo Jun, he found a spatial crack in the demonic battlefield. Although he didn't have a heaven bestowment token, he could leave this spatial rift at any time. That battle had also consumed a lot of his energy. Fortunately, after Qinglian's true body transformed to the 12th stage, her true yuan recovery speed had increased again. In less than half a day, he had already recovered to his peak state. As for the battle between the true spirits of the 3,000 worlds and the evil spirits, he did not interfere. Although he sympathized with the plain-clothed swordsman Luo Jun, with his strength, there was not much he could do. However, before he left, Su Zimo sent a voice transmission to Luo Jun about the destruction of the 9 underworld's sinful grounds. Luo Jun and the evil spirits were imprisoned in the evil demon battlefield and did not know what was happening outside. Only when Su Zimo told him did Luo Jun know why the celestial realm was so angry. Telling Luo Jun this was just to give Luo Jun a chance to live. Since the 9 underworld sin grounds was broken, perhaps one day, this evil demon battlefield would also be broken, and they would regain their freedom. Only a day had passed since the opening of the evil demon battlefield. A cold voice suddenly sounded in the celestial realm and the evil demon battlefield. The evil demon battlefield and the celestial realm are temporarily closed. After 2 hours, if there are any living beings of the 3,000 worlds in the celestial realm and the evil demon battlefield, they will be wiped out. A sudden warning from the celestial realm. When this voice rang out, it immediately caused a commotion in Sky Tribute Square. This kind of situation had never happened before. No one knew why the celestial realm was doing this. Lu Yun and the other peak masters looked at each other and frowned. This action seemed to be targeted at all the living beings of the 3,000 worlds, but if they left the celestial realm, the sword realm would be in danger. Moreover, it was too sudden. Lu Yun felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, he had crushed the message talisman in advance. Otherwise, it would be too late to inform the Iron Crown Elder. The Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, Brilliant Sun Monarch, and the other kings were shocked when they heard this news. Kings of the Giant Realm and Poison Realm were hesitant when they heard the Witch Blood King's instigation. However, this news was a heaven-sent opportunity for them. The Celestial Realm seemed to be helping them intentionally. When the true spirits of the 3,000 worlds and the evil demon battlefield heard this news, they didn't dare to stay and activated their Celestial Realm tokens. Under the envious gazes of countless evil spirits, they returned to the Celestial Realm. Su Zimo also arrived at the Celestial Realm through the spatial crack. The moment he appeared, there were many true spirit realm experts who had returned from the evil demon battlefield gathered around him. But when they saw him, their expressions changed and they retreated. Some even huddled together and stumbled. It was chaos. What are you panicking for? A king frowned and shouted angrily, "This is the Celestial Realm, not the evil demon battlefield. Killing is not allowed." Hearing this, all the true spirit-level experts reacted, their faces turning red. That battle had a huge impact on them. When they faced Su Zimo, they would subconsciously choose to retreat as if they were avoiding danger. It had become a subconscious action. The power of one battle was actually so great. When the kings saw this, they couldn't help but shake their heads and sigh. After this battle, if the true spirit experts of the 3,000 worlds met Sword Realm Suju again in the future, their momentum would be weakened by 30%. Perhaps this battle alone was enough to establish the number 1 true spirit in the 3,000 worlds. The error-free chapters of Eternal Holy King will continue to be updated in the hand-fighting bar. There will be no advertisements. Please bookmark and recommend the hand-fighting bar. If you like Eternal Holy King, please bookmark. Eternal Holy King hand-fighting bar is the fastest to update. Chapter 2888. Let's go to the Treasure Pagoda first. Lu Yun looked at Su Zimo and nodded. Let's leave as soon as possible after exchanging for treasures. Although Su Zimo did not kill many evil fiends and sinful spirits in this trip to the evil fiend battlefield, he killed more than 20 supreme true spirits. The tokens of these supreme true spirits were all in his hands. The battle merits on them could be converted to his at any time. He had lost his token and hadn't carefully calculated how many battle merits he had accumulated. However, he estimated that it could reach tens of thousands. Most of the top 10 names on the battle merit Jade Steel had dimmed. The first row had been replaced by Suju. Most of the other realms had the same plan. They would leave immediately after heading to the Treasure Pagoda. After all, they only had 2 hours left. At this moment, the cold voice from the celestial world sounded again. The Treasure Pagoda is temporarily closed. Exchanging for treasures is prohibited. Everyone from the Sword World frowned when they heard this. What's the meaning of this? Lu Yun was annoyed and couldn't help but grumble. He closed it just because he said so? That's too overbearing. There was something that Lu Yun didn't say out loud because he had some misgivings. He even suspected that the Celestial World was deliberately targeting the Sword World. Forget it. Yulan shook his head slightly. The Celestial World has a transcendent status. They don't need to explain their actions to us. It's better not to complicate matters and have any conflicts with them. Although Lu Yun was indignant, he still took a deep breath and nodded. In fact, he knew that the celestial world's strength was unfathomable. Even a super major world like the Sword World couldn't compete with them. In this life, the Blood Ape world was originally a super major world. However, for some reason, the Blood Ape race had a conflict with the celestial world. The celestial world punished the Blood Ape race by killing more than 10 Blood Ape Imperial Lords and slaughtering countless Blood Apes. This battle was called the Blood Ape Calamity. In this battle, the number of Imperial Emperors of the Blood Ape clan was reduced to less than 10. With less than 10 Imperial Lords, the celestial world was no longer a super major world. It was said that this was only a small warning from the celestial world to the Blood Ape race. If the Blood Ape clan had not submitted in the end, the Blood Ape realm might have been completely destroyed. The Blood Ape race was originally extremely warlike. This race had once produced a great emperor who created the battle epoch. However, in this life, ever since the calamity of the Blood Ape realm had never been able to rise up. Instead, it had become much more restrained. After that, the Blood Ape clan never came to the celestial tribute world again. This time, the restrictions of the celestial tribute realm were lifted. Many realms had gathered, but the Blood Apes still hadn't appeared. This was also the reason. Memories of the past flashed through his mind, causing him to sigh softly. Su Zimo frowned when he heard about the celestial tribute world, but soon he felt relieved. He laughed mockingly and didn't say anything. Whether the celestial tribute world was intentional or not, his harvest from this trip to the Fiend Devil battlefield was already plentiful enough. Even if he exchanged all of his battle merits for Supreme True Spirit Dao fruits, he would only be able to exchange for a few. However, after this battle, there were already more than 20 perfectly preserved Supreme True Spirit Dao fruits in his storage bag. Moreover, in his heart, he didn't place much importance on the battle just now. More than 20 Dao fruits could only be considered a bonus. There was only one true goal in this trip to the celestial tribute world. Since they couldn't go to the treasure pavilion to exchange for treasures, those from the Sword World didn't linger in the celestial tribute world. They accompanied Lin Xuanjin and returned the medallion to the celestial tribute pavilion. Then, they boarded the immortal boat and left Celestial Tribute Island, heading out of the celestial tribute world. Nian Qi had planned to follow Su Zimo and leave the world of light, but Su Zimo's gaze dissuaded him. Outside the celestial tribute world, he was very likely to face danger. If Nian Qi stayed by his side, he would definitely be dragged into the mess and his life would be in danger. At least he could stay alive if he followed the world of light. The Cold Eye King, Shaman Blood King, Stone Fiend King, and the other kings looked at each other and immediately followed with their cultivators. All 3,000 worlds had to evacuate from Celestial Tribute Island within 2 hours. Thousands of starships and boats turned into specks of light and streaked through the sky. The Cold Eye King, Shaman Blood King, and more than 20 other realms' boats didn't stand out among them. In the blink of an eye, those from the Sword World had left the Celestial Tribute World. Outside the Celestial Tribute World, Lu Yun and the others immediately patrolled the area, but didn't find the old man with the iron crown. What's going on? Yulan frowned slightly and asked in a low voice. Sword Emperor Iron Crown didn't come? A trace of unease rose in his heart. He'd torn apart the transmission talisman long ago. Logically speaking, the old man should have arrived at the Celestial Tribute World after receiving the news. Why hadn't he shown up? Maybe we didn't run into any danger, so the Sword Emperor didn't need to show up, Feng Su, head of Phantom Sword Peak, suggested. That's not right. Lu Yun frowned and shook his head. Even if Emperor Iron Crown didn't want to show up, he should have sent us a message with his consciousness and told us not to worry. The Peak Lord's heart sank when they heard this. This was indeed strange. The starry sky around them was eerily dark and eerily quiet. There was no trace of the old man at all. The old man didn't receive the message? The same thought popped into the minds of the 8 Peak Lords at the same time. That was the only explanation for the scene before him. It's the Celestial Tribute World. Yulan's expression turned cold. The celestial tribute world cut off your transmission. They'd only suspected that the celestial tribute world's actions were targeted at Sword World. Now that something like this had happened, the Peak Lords immediately thought of the celestial tribute world. It's not the celestial tribute world. Lu Yun shook his head solemnly. I was worried about an accident, so I deliberately left the celestial tribute world some distance away before I sent the message. If it's not the celestial tribute world, who would have the means to cut off a message imprinted with an Emperor's Tao method? The Peak Masters were bewildered. Off to the side, Su Zimo didn't bat an eyelid as he listened to the Peak Lord's conversation. So it's finally here. He didn't explain anything to him, nor did he choose to send a message with his consciousness. At this moment, his every move might be under the surveillance of others. Anything out of the ordinary would arouse suspicion and caution. Many realms had already left the celestial tribute world on starships and teleported back to their own realms through spatial tunnels. Let's get out of here first. He didn't know what to do, so he made a prompt decision and tore through the void with his ship. Where do you think you're going, Lu Yun? At this moment, an icy cold voice sounded. The next moment, a huge force rushed out from the side and instantly pierced through the spatial tunnel. The Sword Realm's immortal boat was also forced back into the starry sky. It was the Stoneleaf King. Lu Yun and the others' hearts sank. End of chapter. Chapter 2889. The Realm Kings of the 3,000 Realms had planned to leave this place on their immortal ships, but they all stopped when they saw this scene. Not far away, the 6 great realms led the way: Sky Vision, Radiance, Stone, Blood, Shaman, and Sunkro. There was also the Insect World, Giant World, Poison World, Star World, Lifeless World, Bone World, Tomb World, Mystical World, Frost World, and Big Dipper World. There were also the Ant Realm, Rat Realm, Sky Scorpion Realm, Black Crow Realm, Thousand Spider Realm, Dragon Crane Realm, Wind Jackal Realm, and Fire Realm. More than 200 kings of 24 realms surrounded Sword World's ship, sealing off all exits. Their expressions were hostile and murderous. Most of the supreme true spirits of these 24 realms had just died at the hands of Sword World's Su Zhu on the Fiend battlefield. Some of them were either vassals of the 6 great realms, or had clashed with Sword World's Su Zhu in the Fiend battlefield. The other realms perked up when they saw this. Damn it, Sword World's Su Zhu probably won't make it back alive. In the Fiend battlefield, it's all up to one's own ability to fight against a true spirit. These realms are too shameless. Heh, if I were a king of these realms, I wouldn't openly target Sword World's Su Zhu. When a great battle breaks out between kings, Sword World's Su Zhu is just a true spirit. It's only natural that she'd die in the chaos. This era is already chaotic to begin with. After today, the upper realms will likely be even more chaotic. For the other realms, this battle had nothing to do with them. They would only watch from the sidelines and not help either side. The Hui Dragon King from the Dragon Realm frowned and stopped in his tracks. Chi Dragon King, it's best that we stay out of this, another Dragon King said in a low voice. We only have 3 kings on this trip. Even if we help Lu Yun, we won't be able to fend off more than 200 kings. Whether it's the Frost Eye King, the Shaman Blood King, or the Stone Elemental King, none of them are easy to deal with. Although the dragons were a great realm, they were few in number. Including Chi Dragon King, there were only 3 Dragon Kings on this trip. Sword World's Su Zhu saved Li in the Fiend battlefield. The Horned Dragon King said with a frown. Even so, we don't need to risk our lives to get involved in such a battle between kings. The Dragon King continued to persuade. If we get involved in the battle, who will protect Li? The Hornless Dragon King was expressionless. After a short while, she said slowly, if a great battle breaks out in a while, the 2 of you protect Li and leave this place. Don't worry about me. Hui Dragon King, you. The Dragon King tried to persuade him again. The Hornless Dragon King waved his hand and interrupted. If I see that the situation is not right, I will naturally leave. On the other side, Yulan, Immortal King of the Flower Realm, also stopped her immortal boat and looked over. Stone Skeleton King, what are you doing? Lu Yun asked with a grave expression on his face. Nothing. The Stone Demon King casually waved his hand and took out a huge stone axe from his storage bag. He slowly said, "There are too many grudges between our two domains. It's rare for us to run into each other, so let's have a good battle." Lu Yun nodded and looked at Wu Shui, Han Mu, Sunglory, Lu Wu, Bloodly, and the others. He asked in a low voice, "What are you all doing here? I've heard that Brother Lu's sword Tao of Slaughter is the pinnacle of slaughter. I'd like to experience it for myself today," Sunglory declared loudly. Lu Wu responded faintly, "My clan's genius died at the hands of Sword World's Su Zhu. I won't hurt him, I just want to fight you." Han Mu grinned, the bloody scar between his brows seeming to open, exuding a cold and terrifying presence. He said darkly, "You didn't expect this, did you, Lu Yun?" "Ha ha ha." Lu Yun laughed as well. His heart was burning with anger as he shouted, "You bunch of shameless people. You just want to kill the peak master of the 9th sword peak of the sword world, but you don't dare to admit it. Instead, you come up with some high-sounding reasons. If you want to fight, let's fight. Why hide?" Yulan also unsheathed her long sword and entered a desperate situation, brimming with killing intent. Given the current situation, the people of Sword World had no other choice. Whether they showed weakness or begged for mercy, the 200 kings of the 6 superworlds wouldn't give them any chance. Lu Yun's gaze fell on the kings of the higher and middle realms. He slowly said, "You're all quite bold. As a Grotto Heaven Realm king, you want to kill the true spirit of Sword World? Just wait for the revenge of the Sword World's sovereign lord." Hearing this, the kings of the Giant World, Poison World, Rat World, Scorpio World, and the rest of the higher and middle realms showed a trace of hesitation and fear. If Sword World was enraged and took revenge, they were only higher and middle realms after all. They wouldn't be able to withstand the slaughter of Sword World. "Don't listen to his threats." Wu Shuiwang suddenly opened his mouth and chuckled. He raised his voice and said, "Right now, more than 20 worlds have joined forces with us 6 great worlds as the leaders. You all are just assisting from the side. Even if the Sword World wants revenge, it will come to us 6 great worlds. Everyone, there is no need to worry. Moreover, the Sword World's sovereign lord isn't crazy. Why would he take revenge for a true spirit? If it really comes to that, it'll just be a realm war. With more than 20 realms joining forces, even Sword World won't be able to withstand it." The Shaman Blood King's words once again strengthened the confidence of many high-grade and middle-grade realms. This battle was indeed instigated by the Witch World, Sky Eye World, Stone World, Radiant World, Golden Crow World, and Blood World. Even if Sword World wanted revenge, the 6 superworlds would take the lead. They didn't have to worry at all. Those who have nothing to do with this, it's best if you don't get involved. Don't hurt the innocent. The Cold Eye King looked around and didn't hide the threat and killing intent in his voice. In front of the 6 superworlds, more than 20 realms, and more than 200 kings, the pressure was immense. Not many kings dared to step forward. Haha. The Nightmare Dragon King suddenly laughed and said, "Using numbers to bully the weak. You kings are truly shameless." The Chi Dragon King ignored the Cold Eye King's threat and was the first to step forward. After a long moment of hesitation, Immortal King Yulan also stepped forward after the Chi Dragon King and came to Sword World's side. "Many thanks, fellow Taoists." Lu Yun and the other Peak Lords were moved by this scene. In truth, there were some realms that were on good terms with Sword World. There were also some kings who stood on Sword World's side despite the great pressure. However, their numbers were still too few compared to the 200 kings on the other side. The two sides faced off. A great battle between Grotto Heaven Realm kings was about to break out. End of chapter. Chapter 2890. Kill our way out. Lu Yun transmitted this message to the kings around him. They had fewer people on their side. Including the kings who'd stepped forward to help them, there were only about 20 of them. On the other hand, the Frost Eye King and the others had more than 200. That was a tenfold difference. Kill. The Frost Eye King, Stone Fiend King, and the others didn't give Sword World much time to react. With a wave of their arms, the kings all raised their paradises and charged forward. Hum, hum. Sword hums rang out from the 8 peak masters' bodies at the same time. Behind the 8 of them, a series of perfected paradise appeared. Every single paradise gave off a different sword will. Some were fierce and murderous, some were dense with demonic energy, some were illusory, and some were radiant with Buddha light. The only thing the 8 perfect paradises had in common was that they all spewed out endless sword energy, tearing apart the stars around them. The 8 peak masters had known each other for many years. Needless to say, the 8 paradises had established a certain connection and formed an enormous sword formation. With the 8 sword Tao paradises as the foundation, the 8 peak masters formed a great formation of 10,000 swords, forming an enormous sword-shaped wheel that charged outward. Roar! The Chi Dragon King let out a long roar and also released a perfect paradise behind him, brimming with cold energy. As soon as the perfect paradise was released, a layer of frost formed in the surrounding stars. Any weapons and immortal arts rushing toward it were all frozen and sealed in ice. Some kings' paradises weren't strong enough and even froze as soon as they approached. Cracks appeared on them, indicating that they were on the verge of collapse. The Chi Dragon King's battle prowess was among the top in the Grotto Heaven realm. Immortal King Yulan also released her perfect paradise. Floral fragrance filled the air, confusing one's mind and causing their blood and energy to weaken. The Frost Eye King opened his heavenly eye and formed a perfect paradise with his cold eye to fight the Chi Dragon King. The Shaman Blood King propped up a perfect paradise brimming with blood energy, filled with endless curses and emitting an aura that made one's heart palpitate. God King Sunglary's golden blood and energy surged as his body shone with boundless light. The perfect paradise behind him formed the shape of a golden character, bursting with dazzling brilliance that cleansed all darkness in the cosmos. King Lu Wu's perfected paradise was ablaze with raging fire. The essence sun fire was almost tangible, like a volcano that was spewing out golden lava. Inside the stone Shua King's Grotto Heaven, there seemed to be a godly stone that was constantly emitting godly light that landed on his body. His aura was also rising. Inside Bloodly King's complete Grotto Heaven, there was a blood-colored lake. Blood-colored vines as thick as pythons were wriggling out of it. Scarlet blood flowed out of the vines, and circles of sharp fangs grew on their heads, emitting a nauseating aura. The 6 Pinnacle Kings from the Super Great Worlds immediately charged toward the 8 Peak Masters, the Hornless Dragon King, and the others. The remaining 200 Immortal Kings followed closely behind. Boom, boom, boom. The collision between the heavenly abodes shook the starry sky. Dazzling light shone, invisible shockwaves swept out in all directions. This momentum is too terrifying. More than 200 kings fighting, and many of them are even peak kings. It's been a long time since I've seen such a battle. The Sword Realm can actually survive the first wave of attacks. The 8 peak masters of the Sword Realm have been famous for many years, and they also use the 10,000 sword formation. They should be able to last a few more rounds. Su Zimo was in the middle of the battle, and his expression was calm. Although he was protected by the 10,000 sword formation of the 8 peak masters, this sword formation would not be able to last long. Once the 10,000 sword formation was broken, he would be the first to die. The other true immortals of the Sword Realm, Yun Ting and Kitsune, would not be able to escape. In a battle between kings, it was very difficult to survive. Su Zimo took a deep breath. His left eye suddenly became as black as ink, and his right eye became as white as jade. 2 rays of godly light, one black and one white, shot out from his eyes and landed on the starry sky below his feet. They quickly condensed into yin and yang fishes, connected head and tail, and kept spinning and entangling. There was yang and yin and yang. This looked like a supreme theurgy of yin and yang. What is that Sword Realm Suju doing? Is she going to release a supreme theurgy to join the battle? Haha. A king saw this scene and couldn't help but laugh. The difference in strength between the Grotto Heaven realm and the true self realm is like heaven and earth. What's the use of a supreme theurgy? Another king shook his head. At this moment, Su Zimo took out the Tai Horsetail whisk and condensed his true yuan. The jade handle was the shaft, and the 3,000 silver strands were condensed into fine hairs. The tiny horsetail whisk in his hand was like a jade brush, and it quickly drew a few mysterious runes on the yin-yang fish's diagram under his feet. No one in the surroundings could recognize these runes. If immortal King Ling Long was present, she would definitely recognize that these runes came from the yin-yang talisman scripture. Tai yin-yang escape, Su Zimo shouted and threw the Tai horsetail whisk on the yin-yang fish's diagram, and it turned into a perfect arc in the middle of the yin-yang fish's diagram. The runes on the yin-yang fish's diagram shone, and together with the yin-yang fish's diagram, they actually tore the surrounding space apart. Su Zimo moved and stepped onto the yin-yang fish's diagram. Although it was a battle between Grotto Heaven Realm kings, most of the king's attention was on Su Zimo. Everyone was a little confused when they saw this scene. The yin-yang fish's diagram under Su Zimo's feet was like a huge teleportation array. The next moment, right in front of countless gazes, the yin-yang Pisces painting with mysterious runes disappeared into thin air with Su Zimo in tow. The kings who were still fighting fiercely were stunned. The battle in the starry sky paused for a moment, not to mention the people on the battlefield. Even the emperors of the 3,000 worlds and the creatures of the 10,000 races who were watching the battle were dumbfounded. Where is he? What's going on? It seems like he tore open the void and escaped. How is that possible? Only Grotto Heaven Realm kings have the power to tear open the void. This scene happened too suddenly and too strangely. It was beyond everyone's expectations. Normally, only Grotto Heaven Realm kings could tear open the void and enter space tunnels to perform long-distance teleportation. Sword Realm Su Zhu was only at the Calming Realm, so it was impossible for her to have such power. What was even stranger was that the battle between the kings was so intense that the surrounding space was torn apart and collapsed. It was impossible to build a space tunnel. Even the kings present were unable to teleport or tear open the void to leave the battlefield. However, that true immortal just now had disappeared in front of everyone's eyes during the chaotic battle between the kings. No one knew where he went. The creatures of the 3,000 worlds watching didn't know whether to laugh or cry for a moment. The 200 or so monarchs were engaged in an intense battle over a single true spirit. However, the true spirit had suddenly disappeared, leaving the 200 or so monarchs staring blankly at one another. End of chapter. Chapter 2891. The cosmos outside the celestial bestowment realm. The fierce battle came to a sudden halt due to an accident. The kings on the battlefield froze in place, not knowing what to do. Nominally, the battle was the Stone Elemental King and the others attacking the 8 Peak Lords of Sword World. But in reality, everyone knew that their real target was Sword World's Su Zhu. But now, Su Zhu of the Sword Realm had disappeared. Were they still going to fight? If they did, they'd be baffled and would have to grit their teeth and endure. But if they didn't, what should they do next? Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Cave Monarch, Lu Wu Monarch, Brilliant Sun Monarch, Bloodly Monarch, and Blood Shaman King. The 6 Pinnacle Kings from Super Great Worlds. All had ugly expressions except for Blood Shaman King. They'd planned for a long time, contacting more than 20 realms and mobilizing more than 200 kings to kill Sword World's Su Zhu. But now, Sword World's Su Zhu had escaped right under their noses. They couldn't accept this at all. On Sword World's side, the 8 Peak Lords were naturally overjoyed. Su Zimo's sudden use of a secret art to escape from the battlefield would save him from danger. Also, it would protect the other true immortals of Sword World. The 200 kings on the other side couldn't attack them now that they'd lost their target. Sword World, on the other hand, had no qualms and had the initiative. That secret art can tear through the void and forcibly take him away from the battlefield. It's definitely not something he can fully control at his cultivation level. The Stone Elemental King was the first to calm down. According to my calculations, even if he can use that secret art to escape, he won't be able to get far. The Frost Eye King, Sunglory King, and the others quickly reacted and nodded. If we give chase now, we'll definitely be able to catch up to him. After all, they lived for hundreds of thousands of years and came from a super realm. They were knowledgeable and experienced, so they quickly deduced this possibility based on their experience. However, The cosmos is boundless. We can't be sure which direction he fled in. Sun Glory frowned. If we go in the wrong direction, we'll probably end up with nothing. Haha. At this moment, a king from the heavenly eye race stepped forward and chuckled. This kid can escape from this place, but he can't escape from my pursuit. When the Cold Eye Monarch saw this person standing out, he immediately reacted. He was overjoyed and quickly said, "Brother Tsangmu, it seems like we have to rely on you." Then, the Cold Eye Monarch looked at Godly King Ryeo, Stone Puppet Monarch, and the others and said proudly, "Brother Tsangmu has cultivated one of the 3 great eye techniques of the Heavenly Eye clan, Polychoria. He has unfathomable power. No one can escape the pursuit of the dual pupils." When the Sword World saw this, Lu Yun and the others exchanged glances as their hearts sank. He could not allow King Tsangmu to use his Polychoria and track down Su Zimo. "Attack!" Lu Yun called out softly. Although everyone had temporarily stopped fighting, they were still in a state of battle. The Sword World's 8 great peak masters swiftly unleashed the myriad sword grand array and charged towards the Heavenly Eye clan. "Stop them!" The Cold Eye Monarch looked at the 200 kings around him and shouted. The battle between the kings erupted once again. The myriad sword grand array of the 8 great peak masters was already very difficult to defend against the attacks of 200 kings, let alone break through their blockade. King Tsangmu took a deep breath and opened the bloodstain between his eyebrows. His Polychoria had opened. Even the starry sky around them trembled slightly. The celestial eye between Tsangmu's eyebrows contained 2 pupils that looked extremely strange. Many kings stared at the 2 pupils for a while and felt a stabbing pain in their eyes. They hurriedly averted their gaze. Tsangmu's Polychoria released a ray of light that landed on the nearby cosmos. It seemed to pierce through countless dimensions and gradually revealed traces of something. After a while, Tsangmu's Polychoria closed. He opened his eyes again and pointed in a direction, saying in a deep voice, "Over there." Brother Stone Puppet was right. That kid didn't get far. However, he's using an extremely fast movement technique to escape into the distance. We have to chase after him as soon as possible. Let's go. The Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, Sunbright Monarch, and 6 other kings of the 6 great realms chased in that direction under Tsangmu's lead. There were dozens of kings in this group. There were still more than 100 kings left on the battlefield outside the Celestial Bestowment Realm, fighting the 8 great peak masters, Nightmare Dragon King, Immortal King Yulan, and the others. The difference in numbers was too great. The 8 great peak masters grew increasingly anxious as they watched the Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, and the others leave. However, with more than 100 kings blocking their way, they wouldn't be able to break through in a short amount of time. It didn't take long for the Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, and the rest of the kings to disappear from sight. There was nothing to see when dozens of kings chased after a sacred spirit. In everyone's minds, Suju of the Sword World was dead without a doubt. Most of the kings of the 6 great realms remained to watch the battle between the kings. Lu Yun and the others knew that the longer they delayed, the greater the danger Su Zimo would be in. They had to hurry over. Almost all the kings of the 6 great realms have left. How dare you kings of the 6 great realms stop us? Lu Yun roared. Though the Shaman Blood King had persuaded the 20 great realms to form an alliance for the time being, it was only a temporary alliance. Lu Yun had noticed this flaw, which was why he'd questioned them. Just now kings of the 6 great realms were here, so the kings of the 6 great realms had nothing to fear. All they had to do was follow the 6 great realms. Now, the Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, and the other kings of the 6 great realms were chasing after Su Zhu. Almost all the kings of the 6 great realms who'd stayed behind to stop the Sword World were kings of the 6 great realms. The kings of the 6 great realms were startled by Lu Yun's words. Roar! The Chi Dragon King let out a long roar and transformed into his true form. Hundreds of meters long, he hovered in space and spat out a mouthful of dragon breath in the direction of the kings of the 6 great realms. Whoosh! Among the kings of the 6 great realms, a few ordinary immortal kings were frozen into ice sculptures on the spot, their nascent spirits destroyed and their bodies destroyed. Some of the kings of the 6 great realms had the protection of their grotto heavens. Although they'd survived, the grotto heavens behind them shattered one after another. The Chi Dragon King suddenly unleashed his might and took advantage of the kings of the 6 great realms' hesitation to kill a few of them on the spot. The 8 Peak Lords also saw the opportunity. The myriad sword formation unleashed dazzling beams of sword energy. The 8 grotto heavens of sword Tao resonated with each other. Sword energy crisscrossed the cosmos and formed a net of sword energy that instantly killed the kings of the 6 great realms. End of chapter. Chapter 2892. In the face of the 8 Peak Lords and the hornless Dragon King's might, the remaining kings from the higher and middle worlds scowled and wanted to retreat. Without the Peak Kings of the major worlds, they were still a little wary of the 8 crazed Peak Lords of Sword World. At the end of the day, they weren't in the right in this matter, and it was too shameful. In the Fiend battlefield, battles between peers depended on one's own strength. But now, so many kings had banded together to kill a true spirit. Even if someone from Sword World killed them all, their worlds wouldn't be able to do anything about it. And now, looking at the dozens of monarch corpses floating in space, the monarchs of these realms gradually calmed down. Kings from Scorpio, Black Raven, Thousand Spiders, and Dragon Crane were the first to withdraw from the battlefield. As they retreated, the remaining kings also retreated. Sword World's Su Zhu was no longer here. If they continued to fight to the death, they'd feel like they were being used as cannon fodder. Let's go. Not daring to hesitate, they steered the boat in the direction Frost Eye, Stonecutter, and the others had disappeared. The denizens of the 3,000 worlds weren't in a hurry to return to their worlds. Seeing this scene, everyone followed one after another, wanting to see if there were any follow-up developments. Even if Lu Yun and the others catch up, they won't make it in time. Indeed, Sword World's Su Zhu is only a true spirit. How can she escape the pursuit of Peak Kings? Not to mention, there's a king with Polychoria in that group. Let's follow them. If Sword World's Su Zhu dies, Lu Yun and the others might erupt into a great battle in their fury. The kings of the 3,000 worlds discussed in hushed tones as they chased after the group. The Tai Yin Yang escape. This was Su Zimo's greatest gain in recent years from studying the Yin Yang talisman scripture. Immortal Queen Ling Long had once said that the arcane scripture, a taboo tome created by the Empyrean Empress, was all-encompassing. Divination, geomancy, numerology, physiognomy, dream divination, fortune-telling, astrology, astronomical phenomena, talismans, and so on. There were 3 chapters in the arcane scripture, led by Tai. The other 2 were the Chiman Duanjia and the 6th divine lesson. The patriarch of the academy got the Chiman Duanjia, while the immortal King Ling Long got the Lurin divine lesson. The last 2 chapters were created by the 9 heavens Xian and V Empress. As for the Tai chapter, it was a Tao art that the 9 heavens Xian and V Empress had comprehended through the Yin Yang charm scripture. It was quite special, so neither the patriarch of the academy nor the immortal King Ling Long had been able to inherit it. Over the years, Su Zimo would stop to read the words in the Yin Yang charm scripture in his spare time, but he didn't gain anything. One day, he looked at the Tai horsetail whisk floating in his sea of consciousness and suddenly had a flash of inspiration. This horsetail whisk was called the Tai horsetail whisk. After the 9th heaven Xian and V Empress comprehended a Taoist technique from the Yin Yang charm scripture, she named it Tai. This should not be a coincidence, but more like a hint. From that day onwards, Su Zimo would hold the Bodhi bead in his left hand and the Tai horsetail whisk in his right hand, while comprehending the Yin Yang talisman scripture. He could feel the connection between this weapon and the Yin Yang talisman scripture. Over time, he gradually gained some insights. At first, he couldn't connect the Tai horsetail whisk with the Yin Yang talisman scripture, mainly because his thinking was limited. He had always regarded the Tai horsetail whisk as a divine weapon. But from another perspective, the Tai horsetail whisk could also be regarded as a divine brush. The 3,000 silver threads could be regarded as the brush's hair, and the handle of the horsetail whisk could be regarded as the brush's body. Since it was a divine brush, it could use the Tai horsetail whisk to imitate the unique talismans in the Yin Yang charm scripture to perform special Taoist techniques. The Tai horsetail whisk's existence was inextricably linked to yin and yang. The Tai horsetail whisk was composed of the jade handle and the whisk. The jade handle was hard, and the whisk was soft. If the jade handle was regarded as the yang of the Taoist techniques, then the whisk was the yin of the Taoist techniques. The Tai horsetail whisk itself was a weapon that perfectly integrated yin and yang. As he continued to comprehend, Su Zimo gradually comprehended the secret method of the Tai yin-yang escape with the help of the divine stones, Zhu Zhao and Yuing. This secret method didn't have any killing or attacking power. He activated the power of yin and yang within the divine stones to form the yin-yang twin fish diagram. Using the Tai horsetail whisk as a brush, he wrote a few special talismans on the diagram to form a formation. At the same time, he threw the Tai horsetail whisk into the yin-yang twin fish diagram as the foundation of the formation. Due to the Tai horsetail whisk's unique characteristics of yin and yang, there was no rejection when it was thrown into the yin-yang twin fish diagram. The yin-yang twin fish diagram, the special talismans, and the Tai horsetail whisk combined to form this secret method. It allowed Su Zimo to have the ability to tear through the void and create space tunnels when he was only at the true self realm. Su Zimo didn't know what the Tai chapter of the technique repository was. Now that he had the Tai horsetail whisk and the yin-yang charm scripture in this life, he might be able to comprehend his own Tai Taoist technique. Of course, the Stone Demon King and the others guessed correctly. Although his primordial spirit had already surpassed the void transformation stage of the true self realm, he couldn't use this secret method for a long time to travel through space tunnels. Not long later, he left the space tunnel and returned to the stars. Using the Tai yin-yang escape art to leave the battlefield could allow the 8 peak masters, Yun Ting, Kitsune, and the others from the sword world to escape danger. The Cold Eye King and the others' target was him. If they saw that he had left and lost their target, there was no need for this battle to continue. Leaving the battlefield meant leaving the celestial tribute world. This was the most important step in Su Zimo's plan. If he was near the celestial tribute world, there would be too many variables. Su Zimo didn't include the Cold Eye King, the Stone Demon King, and the others in this plan. He didn't know that the Cold Eye King, the Stone Demon King, and dozens of other kings had already chased after him with the help of the Polychoria King. From the beginning to the end, he only had one target, the Academy Patriarch. After he ascended, the Academy Patriarch was the only one who made him feel threatened. When he ascended, although his Dragon Phoenix true body was destroyed by the Cloud Underworld King, it was also because of the Academy Patriarch's plan. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that after he ascended, his every move was under the surveillance of the Academy Patriarch. Every time he thought about this, he would feel a chill down his spine. In the face of the clan leader of the Academy, he even felt powerless to resist. Even when he was facing the Blood Demon Dao Lord on the Tianhuang mainland, he didn't feel this way. The Blood Demon Dao Lord was very ambitious, but he couldn't compare to the Academy Patriarch. The Academy Patriarch was always calm and collected. Yet he was hiding behind the scenes, stirring up the wind and stirring up the clouds with one turn of the hand. No one could hide anything from the Academy Patriarch. Su Zimo couldn't forget that omnipresent pressure. Chapter 2893. He calculated all the heavenly secrets, fate, people's hearts, and karma. A flawless plan. The plan that the Academy Patriarch set for him back then could be said to be perfect. The sect master of the Academy was indeed worthy of being called a meticulous plan. If not for the appearance of the Emperor's tomb and the resurrection of immortal Emperor Chun Mu, the Academy Patriarch would have obtained everything. After cultivating the yin-yang talisman scripture, Su Zimo believed that the Academy Patriarch would not be able to deduce his whereabouts and information. But more than 1,000 years ago, when he returned from the celestial tribute world, he still felt a sense of danger. Although he used the name Su Zhu, he did not expose his identity. But there were many eyes in the celestial tribute world, and he killed Xiangming of the Heavenly Eye race in the evil demon battlefield. The more people he came into contact with, the more information he would leave behind, and the more karma he would have. These karma intertwined, accumulated, and settled. Others might not be able to sense it, but he believed that the Academy Patriarch would be able to deduce it. Therefore, when he returned from the celestial tribute world, he had already planned for the worst. The Academy Patriarch already knew of his whereabouts, and he was in the sword world. Even if the Academy Patriarch had infinite wisdom, he could not enter the sword world, kill him, and take away the grade 12 creation Qinglian. The only chance was to wait for him to leave the sword world. Therefore, when 1,000 years passed and Su Zimo could enter the celestial tribute world for the second time, he did not act rashly. To him, the real danger was not the revenge of the heavenly eye world, but the Academy Patriarch. Su Zimo believed that the Academy Patriarch would not let him go, and if he contacted the Emperor of the Sword World, he would not be able to hide from the Academy Patriarch. The Academy Patriarch was flawless. Only one existence had been able to hide from his calculations: Wu Dao's true body. This was also Su Zimo's greatest trump card in secret. However, at that time, Su Zimo had lost contact with Wu Dao's main body, so he had been biding his time and waiting for an opportunity. When Wu Dao's main body returned to the upper realm, Su Zimo decided to head to the celestial tribute world. To be more precise, his target was the Patriarch of the Academy from the moment he set out. This situation was not complicated at all. In fact, it was extremely simple, because the Patriarch of the Academy would definitely do something to him. Therefore, Su Zimo used himself as bait to lure the Patriarch of the Academy out. When he learned that Lu Yun's message had failed, he knew that the Patriarch of the Academy had made his move. The Patriarch of the Academy had schemed against him. This time, Su Zimo was going to make use of Wu Dao, who was not in the 5 elements and was free from samsara, to plot against the Patriarch of the Academy and get rid of this threat completely. Su Zimo released the great Pong wings and turned into a golden light, speeding through the starry sky. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's vision blurred as though he had barged into another space. The surrounding starry sky had already disappeared. The surroundings were unusually familiar. It was Heaven and Earth Academy. Not far away was the Dao Heart Staircase of Heaven and Earth Academy. Beside the Dao Heart Staircase stood a figure in Daoist robes with his back facing Su Zimo. At that moment, he turned around slightly with a faint smile on his face. It was the Patriarch of the Academy. Su Zimo's expression was calm. This could not be Heaven and Earth Academy. Although the Patriarch of the Academy was powerful, he could not teleport him to Heaven and Earth Academy instantly. This should be a scene set up by the Patriarch of the Academy with his dermic powers. The Patriarch of the Academy looked at Su Zimo with admiration and praised. It's truly hard to imagine that you could really survive from the Emperor's tomb. The Patriarch of the Academy pondered for a moment and sensed it slightly before asking in surprise, "You even removed the curse of the Emperor's tomb and the master-slaying curse. How did you do it? Aren't you omniscient?" Su Zimo smiled as well. "Guess for yourself." "Huh." The Patriarch of the Academy raised his head and chuckled. Then, he shook his head slightly. "Su Zimo, why don't you understand? Even if you don't say it, I can obtain all the answers from your soul." Before long, the Patriarch of the Academy sensed that Su Zimo was too calm. Even after seeing him appear, there was no change in Su Zimo's eyes or emotions. The Patriarch of the Academy retracted his smile and said, "Seems like you're not surprised by my appearance." "Of course," Su Zimo said. "Why do you think I released my escape technique and left the Heaven Tribute world?" "Interesting." A glint flashed through the eyes of the Patriarch of the Academy. He rubbed his fingers under his sleeves and deduced continuously as he murmured, "Let me see what other variables there are. There are dozens of kings outside. Although it's a bit annoying, they're not variables at all. They'll only be trapped in the 8 inner hidden gates and won't be able to do anything." In fact, that was indeed the case. Outside the starry sky, according to the guidance of Song Mu King's Polychoria, the Cold Eye King, Stone Puppet King, and dozens of other kings suddenly lost their way as if they were trapped in a secret realm. "What's going on? Where's Suju? I don't know. His tracks disappeared here. Where is this?" The Cold Eye King and the others quickly became alert and scanned the surroundings. They spread out their divine sense and didn't dare to act rashly. The surroundings were shrouded in thick fog, and even their divine sense couldn't penetrate it. Let me try. Songmu King opened his polychoria again and looked around. After a long time, Songmu King groaned. The polychoria on his forehead had closed and a wisp of scarlet blood slowly seeped out from the heavenly eye. Brother Songmu, how is it? Everyone quickly gathered around and asked in a deep voice. Songmu King took a deep breath and said, I just passed through the fog and saw 8 huge gates slowly rotating. It was deep inside and emitted a terrifying aura. I don't know where it leads. 8 gates? Glorious Sun God King frowned and said hesitantly, could it be the legendary 8 inner hidden gates formation? King Lu Wu, the Cold Eye King, and the other Peak Kings all had a change in expression when they heard these words. What's the 8 inner hidden gates formation? Some kings had never heard of it and asked subconsciously. Glorious Sun God King said, legend has it that the 8 inner hidden gates formation has 8 gates. Opening gate, rest gate, life gate, pain gate, stop gate, view gate, and death gate. Each gate leads to a different space. Opening, rest, and life are the 3 auspicious gates. Death, shock, and pain are the 3 ominous gates. Blocking and view are the middle gates. Once you take the wrong step and enter one of the 3 ominous gates, you'll definitely die. If you enter blocking or view, your life or death is unknown. Only by entering opening, rest, and life will you have a chance of survival. King Lu Wu nodded with a solemn expression. It's said that the 8 inner hidden gates formation originated from the Forbidden Secret Manual, Technique Repository. I wonder who set it up and why? How can one determine which gates are the 3 auspicious gates? Someone asked. Glorious Sun God King shook his head slightly and sneered. If it could be determined so easily, the 8 inner hidden gates formation wouldn't be so terrifying. It's said that the 8 gates can change at any time. Even if one chooses the right 3 auspicious gates, if there's a change, the auspicious gate will become an ominous gate. Everyone's hearts turned cold when they heard that. End of chapter. Chapter 2894. Among the dozens of kings present, only Blood King Wu had a calm expression, without the slightest trace of panic. He naturally knew that this scene before him was the work of that lord. He was also the one who had secretly pushed Su Zhu to this point, according to that lord's instructions. Looking at the solemn expressions of the kings around him, Blood King Wu coughed lightly and said indifferently, no matter who set up this 8 gates hidden formation, they don't seem to have much hostility towards us. Otherwise, they wouldn't have just trapped us here. In my opinion, we should wait patiently and not act rashly. Although the other kings were still nervous, they had no other choice. They knew almost nothing about the 8 gates hidden formation. Although there was a chance of survival, if they took the wrong step, they would be consigned to eternal damnation. The kings had painstakingly cultivated to the Grotto Heaven realm. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would take such a huge risk. Beside the Tao Heart staircase, the Academy Patriarch's eyes were like the deep starry sky, unfathomable. I have already blocked the heavenly secrets and isolated the senses here. Not only can the teleportation talisman not return to the Sword World, even if an emperor investigates here, he won't be able to find anything unusual, the Academy Patriarch muttered to himself as he deduced. After a while, the Academy Patriarch's eyes regained their clarity. He looked at Su Zimo and smiled. I have already calculated all the variables on you. You were lucky last time, but your luck won't always be so good. This time, you won't be able to escape. Su Zimo raised his eyebrows slightly and asked in return, who said I was going to escape? Oh? The Academy Patriarch looked at Su Zimo with interest and asked, do you have a backup plan? Without waiting for Su Zimo's reply, the Academy Sect Master continued, I forgot to remind you that in this 8 gates hidden formation that I set up, even if a peak Imperial Emperor barges in, he will be trapped inside for a long time. This time is enough for me to do anything. Therefore, even if the Iron-Crowned Sword Emperor of the Sword World descends, he won't be able to save you. Su Zimo was silent. The Patriarch of the Academy was still the Patriarch of the Academy. Once he made a move, he was almost invincible. Actually, I was happy from the bottom of my heart when I deduced that you might still be alive. The patriarch of the academy did not hide his excitement and pride as he was about to get Qinglian, who was a 12th grade creation. He gestured and said, "Do you know the joy of regaining something you lost? Well, I'm glad that you're still alive." The patriarch of the academy was never stingy in sharing his feelings with a dying man. He also enjoyed seeing the despair, helplessness, and unwillingness that gradually appeared on the other party's face under the constant provocation of these words. However, from beginning to end, Su Zimo was very calm. It was so calm that it was a little strange. "You are very smart and talented," the patriarch of the academy said. "I really wanted to take you as my disciple. I also gave you a choice. Unfortunately, you didn't take it. I'm your master. Why did you resist? Why did you disobey me? Why don't you be obedient and give me your creation, Qinglian? You may have some backup plans, trump cards, or schemes, but after a pause, the patriarch of the academy said, "There's one thing that I may not have taught you. In the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks are vulnerable." So, the patriarch of the academy's eyes suddenly burst out a faint divine light. He looked at Su Zimo, who was not far away, and shouted, "A teacher for a day is a father for life. Unfilial disciple, kneel down." The patriarch of the academy was not targeting Su Zimo's physical body and primordial spirit, but his Taoist heart. The reason why the Taoist heart ladder was set up around them was that the patriarch of the academy took Su Zimo as his disciple here. The patriarch of the academy had once stepped on the 10th step of the Taoist heart ladder, but fell from it. He had never been defeated. Therefore, this time, not only did he want to obtain the 12th grade creation Qinglian's body, he also wanted to break Su Zimo's Taoist heart. Since he could not step on the 10th step of the Taoist heart ladder, he would trample Su Zimo's Taoist heart under his feet. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Su Zimo's Taoist heart. What was Wu Dao's heart? What was Wu Dao's will? Great fearlessness, great courage, great boldness, and great wisdom. Even if there were thousands of people, he would still go forward. Wu Dao was resistance. Wu Dao was born because he would not give in. It was simply impossible to use the etiquette of father and son, monarch and minister, to restrain the martial way. Su Zimo's Taoist heart did not waver. He sighed faintly and said, "Patriarch, do you know why I lured you out?" The patriarch of the academy was about to say something when his heart skipped a beat as though he had sensed something. The patriarch of the academy exclaimed softly. Someone was breaking through the 8 gates hidden formation, and their speed was extremely fast. Normally speaking, one would lose their sense of direction after falling into the 8 gates hidden formation. Although there were 8 gates, one would not be able to determine the direction. However, this person seemed to be running in a straight line, charging straight at him. The obstacles of the 8 gates hidden formation seemed to be unable to stop this person's path at all. However, in the blink of an eye, a purple-robed figure walked out of the surrounding fog. He wore a cold silver mask on his face, and his eyes were deep. His entire body was shrouded in a mysterious aura that was unfathomable. "Araki Takashi of the Demon Region?" The patriarch of the academy murmured softly. Back then, when Wu Dao's true body wreaked havoc in the Jianmu mountain range, the patriarch of the academy was hiding nearby and snatched the Taiching Jade book. Naturally, he recognized him. The patriarch of the academy frowned. The appearance of Araki Takashi of the Demon Region had indeed exceeded his deductions. Moreover, he had tried to deduce Araki Takashi of the Demon Region several times, but to no avail. Araki Takashi of the Demon Region seemed to be shrouded in a layer of dense fog. At this moment, the patriarch of the academy's eyes turned. He glanced at Su Zimo and then looked at Araki Takashi of the Demon Region. He seemed to have thought of something and gradually narrowed his eyes. He had a feeling that there must be some special relationship between Su Zimo and Araki Takashi of the Demon Region, because, in many cases, the appearance of the two was too coincidental. Back at the Jade Firmament Immortal Region's Feast of Peaches, Araki Takashi of the Demon Region appeared for a peach tree that had turned into a spirit and started a massacre. However, in the end, the peach tree was brought back by Su Zimo. However, Araki Takashi did not cause any trouble for Su Zimo. Later, at the Conference of the Nine Clouds, Araki Takashi appeared again. On the surface, it was to stand up for the Guqin demon. However, in reality, after a great battle, not only was the Guqin immortal Mingyao injured, even the Moonlight Sword immortal had almost died. And both of them had deep grudges with Suzimo, master and disciple, fellow disciples, or friends. The patriarch of the academy had guessed all kinds of relationships, but he could not be sure. Until just now, when Suzimo was in danger again and Araki Takashi appeared again. In the patriarch of the academy's mind, an almost impossible speculation that he had never even considered before flashed through his mind. The patriarch of the academy stared at Wu Dao and asked slowly, "You are Suzimo?" Chapter 2895. In fact, when Wu Dao's original body arrived, Suzimo knew that the academy patriarch would be able to guess. He did not intend to hide it. After ascending, Suzimo's cultivation was like walking on thin ice. He tried his best to hide this secret. The main reason was that his two main bodies had not grown. If one side encountered danger, the other side could be implicated. Now, Wu Dao's original body had cultivated to the martial domain realm and the Yuanwu Grotto Heaven realm. Even if he was bare-handed, he could suppress a quasi-emperor. In the 3,000 worlds, there was no one who could threaten him. Even if he encountered a top imperial emperor expert and was no match for him, he could use the prison suppression cauldron to return to Avicii Hell. It did not matter whether this secret was made public or not. Wu Dao's original body raised his hand and took off the Mo Luo mask, revealing his delicate and handsome face. However, because he had been cultivating Wu Dao for a long time, although the two main bodies looked the same, their temperaments were very different. "It really is you." The academy patriarch did not panic. Instead, the light in his eyes grew brighter and brighter. He nodded repeatedly and said, "Good, good, good. As expected of my good disciple, you have such a backup plan." Araki Takashi of the Demon Domain. "I didn't expect it. Really didn't expect it. The academy patriarch laughed out loud, which was rare. He had thought of all kinds of answers before, but he did not think that the two were the same person. This was because the difference in their battle strength was too great. Moreover, the two's battle techniques were different. Now that he knew this, the academy patriarch was even more excited. The stronger Suzimo was, the greater his harvest this time. Moreover, Araki Takashi of the Demon Domain might be a greater treasure than the 12th grade Qinglian. The academy patriarch was eager to know what secrets Araki Takashi of the Demon Domain were hiding and how he could hide from his deduction. "Looks like you came prepared today." The patriarch of the academy looked at Suzimo and then at Wu Dao and smiled meaningfully. Wu Dao put on the Mara mask again. Looking at the patriarch of the academy, two purple flames suddenly rose in his eyes. He said slowly, "I can't rest easy if you don't die." As long as the patriarch of the academy was alive, he would always be a great threat to the real body of Qinglian. "If I remember correctly, you had only just condensed your paradise during the battle in the Jianmu mountain range." The patriarch of the academy pointed at Wu Dao and asked with a smile, "But 2,000 years have passed. What realm can you reach?" "The cultivation of the Grotto Heaven realm is extremely difficult. Even if you have unprecedented talent and endless opportunities, I'm guessing that you will at most reach the greater mastery of the Grotto Heaven realm, right?" The patriarch of the academy was indeed half right. Suzimo ignored him and suddenly said, "You've been watching for so long. Why haven't you shown your true self yet?" The patriarch of the academy was slightly stunned. Suzimo said indifferently, "Given your cautious nature, the one standing here right now is definitely not your true self. There's no need to hide in front of me. Show your true self." The patriarch of the academy had already obtained the complete 3 pure jade booklet. In other words, the patriarch of the academy controlled at least 3 clones. Interesting. The patriarch of the academy did not deny it. He merely chuckled and asked in return, "Do I need to use my true self to deal with you? You want to scheme against me at the greater mastery of the Grotto Heaven realm? Who gave you the confidence?" The moment the patriarch of the academy said that, the silent Wu Dao's true self suddenly attacked. Since the patriarch of the academy did not reveal his true self, he would beat him until he did. Wu Dao's true self did not move much. He merely took a step forward and caused the surrounding void to tremble, causing the Dao heart ladder to collapse. The entire world seemed to be unable to bear the burden and let out a mournful wail. With just a single step, the world collapsed. With just a single step, Wu Dao's true self had already arrived in front of the patriarch of the academy. He raised his hand and punched. It was a simple punch. It did not seem fancy, nor was it any divine ability or secret technique. However, all of Wu Dao's techniques and Wu Dao's will were contained in this punch. The great Dao was simple, returning to the basics. Seeing Wu Dao's true self rushing over, the patriarch of the academy's expression did not change. However, a trace of mockery flashed across his eyes as he said slowly, "I've said it before. In the face of absolute power, all schemes are vulnerable. Today, I'll let you see what the Emperor realm is." The patriarch of the academy stopped abruptly before he could finish his words. He could no longer continue. Wu Dao's true self did not say a word. That punch was already coming over. That kind of bravery and determination, that kind of direct to one's heart, that kind of delight in vengeance, that kind of fearlessness, great courage, great boldness, and great wisdom. Like a volcano erupting, the waves surging, the power and will came crashing down, suffocating. The patriarch of the academy was all too familiar with this kind of power and will. Back then, he had felt it on the 10th step of the Dao heart ladder. When the 10th step was condensed, it even resonated with the great Dao and attracted the celestial sound of the great Dharma conch and great Dharma drum. The patriarch of the academy instantly calmed his mind and punched back, facing the fist of Wu Dao's true self. He did not dodge, and there was no need to dodge. The Emperor realm. This was what he was truly relying on. If he had not stepped into the Emperor realm, he would not be so confident. Although this body was not his true self, it was the original body that he condensed using the Pure Jade Book. The strength of the doppelganger method of the 3 Pure Jade Book was that the doppelganger condensed using the book could maintain the same realm as the true self. In other words, the patriarch of the academy was in the Emperor realm, and the original body condensed was also in the Emperor realm. Although this original body did not have the vital chi and blood of the primordial spirit, the Pure Jade Book was a body refining method, and it was fierce in close combat. In addition, the original body belonged to the Emperor realm body, so the patriarch of the academy could withstand the suppression of the will of Wu Dao's true self and counterattack with a punch. Su Zimo was not surprised that the patriarch of the academy had stepped into the Emperor realm. With the talent and wisdom of the patriarch of the academy, half of the bloodline of the witch tribe, and the secret method of the witch tribe, the inheritance of the technique repository, and the complete forbidden secret book, the 3 Pure Jade Book, it would be strange if he did not step into the Emperor realm. Back then, the patriarch of the academy and immortal King Ling Long both received the inheritance of the 9th Heaven Xian V Great Emperor, but immortal King Ling Long was suppressed by the patriarch of the academy. The strength of the patriarch of the academy was evident. The previous patriarch of the academy had left a backup plan, a picture, and Elder Xian's protection, but the patriarch of the academy had still schemed against him in the end. On the surface, the patriarch of the academy was unparalleled in scheming, but he had completely eliminated the backup plan of Elder Xian and the previous patriarch of the academy by relying on his strength as a quasi-emperor. Without enough strength, one could only scheme and scheme. In the end, it was still a pavilion on the sand, and it would be difficult to achieve great things. Powerful combat strength, unparalleled wisdom, and unimaginable ambition. This was the patriarch of the academy, who had almost no weaknesses. Moreover, after learning that Lu Yun's transmission had failed, Su Zimo was almost certain that the patriarch of the academy had become an emperor. Only a great emperor could conceal the secrets of the heavens and cut off the traces of an emperor's message talisman. This battle was not easy. Chapter 2896. Bang! Wu Dao's original body and the patriarch of the academy collided with each other with a muffled sound. In the next moment, the sect master of the academy's body shook, and a look of astonishment flashed in his eyes. He was sent flying by the punch of the martial Tao true body, and the clothes on his arms were completely torn. This was beyond the patriarch of the Academy's expectation. After all, this original body was condensed from the pure Jade book. It had a strong physical body and was invincible in close combat. However, the original body in the Emperor realm was forced to retreat by Araki Takashi, who was in the culmination of the Tao Insight realm. But this only surprised the patriarch of the Academy a little. Araki Takashi's strength was beyond his expectation, but he was still far from being a threat to him. Although the avatar condensed from the Jade Book of 3 Pure Jade Book was in the same realm as his original body, the avatar didn't have vital spirit, chi, and blood, so it couldn't release divine skills or secret skills. If Araki Takashi couldn't even defeat one of his avatars, he wouldn't be qualified to force him to show his original body. What's more, he had 2 such avatars. Wu Dao's original body gained the upper hand with one punch. He didn't stop and moved forward again, raising his hand and punching again. This fist was like a burning meteor, as if it would explode in the next moment, and the surrounding air had been burned. This time, the patriarch of the Academy wanted to dodge. But soon, the patriarch of the Academy realized that Wu Dao's punch had blocked all his escape routes. Facing the punch of Wu Dao's original body, he had to take it, even if he didn't want to. The patriarch of the Academy lost the initiative and didn't dare to take the punch of Wu Dao's original body with one arm. He could only raise his arms in front of his body in a cross shape. Bang! Another muffled sound. The patriarch of the Academy was once again sent flying by Wu Dao's punch. There was no chi or blood on the body of the primeval Lord of Heaven, but there were some obvious tears and burn marks on the body. Bang! Wu Dao stepped forward and punched again. The patriarch of the Academy retreated again. This primeval body was completely suppressed by Wu Dao's original body, without the slightest strength to resist. At this rate, this body of primordial beginning would probably not be able to withstand more than 10 punches and would be blown up by Wu Dao's true body. The patriarch of the Academy was not in a hurry. Even though Wu Dao's original body seemed to have the absolute upper hand in this situation, he wasn't worried at all. There was still a faint smile on his face. Suddenly, at the side of Wu Dao's original body, another figure rushed out. His hands were constantly changing, spewing out streaks of purple light, which transformed into numerous divine weapons and charged towards Wu Dao's original body. It was the second incarnation of the patriarch of the Academy. It was the numinous treasure body formed from the prime purity Jade Scroll. This was the numinous treasure body that transformed into the appearance of the 8th elder of the Academy. At greater mastery of the primeval body, it would emit a green glow. As for the numinous treasure body, it would emit a purple spirit light. That purple spirit light contained the Tao techniques of the prime purity Jade Scroll and could conjure countless divine weapons of the same realm to attack in an extremely ferocious manner. Coupled with the numinous treasure body, the primeval body counterattacked. At the same time, another figure in red robes appeared behind Suzimo. The third incarnation of the patriarch of the Academy had appeared. At this point, the green-robed primeval beginning body, the purple-robed numinous treasure body, and the red-robed Tao virtue body, all 3 incarnations of the prime purity Jade Scroll had appeared. Furthermore, the patriarch of the Academy had chosen the perfect timing. The moment Wu Dao's original body launched his attack, he had already distanced himself from Qinglian's true body. Now that Wu Dao's original body was trapped in the attacks of the primeval beginning and numinous treasure bodies, he would definitely not be able to extricate himself instantly. On the other side, the Tao virtue body had already found Suzimo's true body of Qinglian's. Once Qinglian's true body fell into the hands of the patriarch of the Academy, the patriarch of the Academy would have already won half the battle. As the patriarch of the Academy had said, he might be able to defeat Suzimo without even revealing his true body. By controlling the 3 incarnations, the patriarch of the Academy could evolve multiple combat styles and control the situation completely with the initiative. Disciple, you've lost. The Tao virtue body arrived before Suzimo and smiled gently. Not necessarily. Suzimo's expression was calm, and there was no hint of panic in his eyes. Right then, Wu Dao's original body ignored the attacks of the primeval beginning and numinous treasure bodies. His eyes shone brightly as he activated his primordial spirit. A terrifying aura suddenly burst out from his body and instantly descended upon the entire battlefield. The next moment, the entire battlefield turned into a scorched earth with raging flames and flames soaring into the sky. Wu Dao's purgatory. In addition to Qinglian's true body, the three incarnations of the Patriarch of the Academy were burned by the raging flames in Wu Dao's purgatory and could not withstand it at all. Although the three incarnations of the three-purity Jade Book were in the Emperor realm, they did not have primordial spirits. In the face of the burning of Wu Dao's purgatory, they could not exert the true power of the Emperor realm and were completely powerless to resist. Su Zimo had long been prepared for this scene. In this battle, Qinglian's true body was his greatest weakness. Moreover, he knew that the Patriarch of the Academy would definitely try to find a way to get his Qinglian's true body. Therefore, when the three incarnations were all revealed, Wu Dao's original body did not hesitate at all and directly used one of his most powerful means, Wu Dao's purgatory. The Patriarch of the Academy stared at his Qinglian's true body. He also wanted to seize the three-purity Jade Book of the Academy Patriarch of the Academy. Now, in Wu Dao's purgatory, there were Martial Soul Fire, Dragon Phoenix Flame, Calamity Fire, Red Lotus Fire, Hellfire, and Netherworld Ghost Fire. 6 kinds of powerful flames intertwined in this domain, almost destroying and incinerating everything. The primordial spirit body belonged to the art of spiritual refinement. It was the first to be unable to resist and turned into nothingness, leaving only a jade book filled with purple light floating in front of Su Zimo. Following closely was the numinous treasure body. The primeval beginnings body was already somewhat fragmented by Wu Dao's original body. It could not hold on for long and soon turned into ashes. The Supreme Purity Jade Book and Jade Purity Jade Book appeared as well. After all, the 3 Purity Jade Books had been passed down for a long time and contained endless Dao techniques. Even in Wu Dao's purgatory, they could be preserved perfectly. Su Zimo reached out and grabbed the Taiching Jade Book that was closest to him that was emitting a purple light. Just as his palm was about to make contact with the Taiching Jade Book, the void in front of him shook slightly and a figure appeared amidst the raging flames. The person who arrived wore a Confucian robe and had a broad forehead. His eyes were as deep as the sea, and he had a faint smile on his face. "Disciple, I've said long ago that you can't win against me." The Patriarch of the Academy had finally revealed his true body. To be precise, the Patriarch of the Academy and the primordial spirit body targeted Su Zimo's Qinglian's true body at the same time. However, the Patriarch of the Academy's true body was hidden and even escaped the senses of Wu Dao's original body. The Patriarch of the Academy and Su Zimo were extremely close to each other, and Wu Dao's original body could not make it back in time. The 3 clones were merely bait. When Su Zimo thought that he had turned the tables, the Patriarch of the Academy's true body would reveal itself and give him a fatal blow. In the Wu Dao's purgatory, the Patriarch of the Academy's expression was as usual and he was perfectly fine. The power of Wu Dao's purgatory could not hurt the Patriarch of the Academy in the slightest. That was the strength of the Emperor realm. End of chapter. Chapter 2897. Disciple, I've told you long ago that you can't beat me. The Patriarch of the Academy looked at Su Zimo, who was close at hand, and said with an indifferent tone that was filled with confidence and certainty. Araki Takashi's strength had indeed lit up his eyes. This blazing purgatory was extremely powerful and was somewhat similar to a grotto heaven, but also different. The Patriarch of the Academy guessed that this purgatory could even refine and suppress a quasi-emperor. However, if he wanted to use this purgatory to hurt him, it was still far from enough. The Patriarch of the Academy merely had to circulate his blood qi to defend against the impact of Wu Dao's purgatory. Up till now, everything was under his control. The Patriarch of the Academy truly could not imagine what other tricks Su Zimo had up his sleeves. When Su Zimo saw the Patriarch of the Academy reveal his true form, his eyes were calm and he did not seem surprised at all. In fact, He did not even stop in his actions of grabbing for the Taiching Jade Booklet. How dare you try to snatch the Jade Booklet in front of me? The patriarch of the academy looked at Su Zimo with interest and could not help but laugh. The Su Zimo before him looked stubborn and even naive. What was he trying to do? Even if he managed to obtain the 3 pure Jade Booklet, how useful would it be? Right then, Su Zimo's gaze shifted to the patriarch of the academy and he said slowly, "The outcome is still unknown. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Whoosh! Su Zimo's sleeves shook and a watery light burst forth from within, spraying towards the patriarch of the academy. The two of them were way too close. Before Su Zimo could finish, the watery mist had already spilled over. Poison? Or some other filthy evil object? Fufu. The patriarch of the academy shook his head gently and sighed. You truly know nothing about the power of the Emperor realm. How can these external objects hurt me? The patriarch of the academy ignored the oncoming mist. He activated his chi and blood and directly passed through it. With a flip of his palm, he grabbed Su Zimo's head. His body and bloodline had been tempered by the power of a great emperor. Even the purgatory fire around him couldn't hurt him. What could this mist do? But just as he passed through the mist, he paused. Something was wrong. He'd just released his great emperor blood essence. Even the purgatory fire couldn't get close to him. Normally speaking, he should have been able to keep the mist at bay. But as he walked through the mist, he felt a wet feeling on his cheeks. His Confucian robe was also completely soaked. The blood essence of an Emperor Realm cultivator couldn't stop the mist? The patriarch of the academy frowned slightly. While looking surprised and doubtful, he caught a glimpse of the sarcasm on Su Zimo's face. Su Zimo grabbed the Great Purity Jade Book and retreated. At the same time, Wu Dao's true body put away the Jade Purity Jade Book and Prime Purity Jade Book and rushed over. You're still trying to escape? The patriarch of the academy suppressed his confusion and channeled his blood essence. Just as he was about to attack again, his expression changed. Intense pain. There was a sharp pain on his cheeks and the surface of his skin beneath his Confucian robe. His flesh was corroding furiously and his blood essence was depleting. The patriarch of the academy's body swayed and he grunted. How could this be? The patriarch of the academy could not understand. How could a mere mist threaten him? How could it even cause such severe injuries to him? Hell Fountain. This was the gift that Su Zimo had given to the patriarch of the academy. Su Zimo had long expected that this battle wouldn't be easy. However, he still had to attack the patriarch of the academy. Given the patriarch of the academy's cautiousness, if Wu Dao's true body cultivated to a higher realm and revealed an invincible stance, the patriarch of the academy would definitely not take the risk and expose his true body. The only way for him to have a chance of getting rid of all future troubles was to let the patriarch of the academy see a greater chance of victory. The patriarch of the academy was plotting against Su Zimo at all times. Wasn't Su Zimo the same? Since the patriarch of the academy used his 3 clones as bait, Su Zimo used himself as bait as well. It was difficult for him to guess what methods and schemes the patriarch of the academy would have. However, he was certain of one thing. No matter how complicated the patriarch of the academy's schemes were, the patriarch of the academy would definitely attack Qinglian's true body. That was his chance. However, this time round, Su Zimo spilled all the Hell's Nether spring water that Wu Dao's true body brought back. The patriarch of the academy was severely injured and hurriedly channeled his blood chi in an attempt to suppress the damage of the Hell's Nether spring water. However, the Hell's Nether spring water targeted the bloodline of the witch race. Half of the bloodline of the witch race flowed in the body of the patriarch of the academy, and it was extremely difficult for him to suppress the Hell's Nether spring water with his blood chi. If not for the fact that he had half of the human bloodline, he would have been half dead after so much Hell's Nether spring water seeped into his body. Su Zimo retreated and distanced himself from the patriarch of the academy. However, Wu Dao's true body had already closed in on him. Boom! Wu Dao's true body punched the head of the patriarch of the academy. The patriarch of the academy's body was severely injured and covered in injuries. Right now, he was in his weakest state, and it was also the best opportunity for Wu Dao's true body. Heartless heaven. The The patriarch of the academy finally sensed a huge danger. He activated his essence spirit and shouted softly, directly opening up a world. Boom! Wu Dao's true body punched the world of the patriarch of the academy, causing an earth-shattering sound to be deafening. This side of the world only shook slightly, but the martial Dao true body's figure was also sent flying by the huge rebound force. The Arch Realm controlled the world. The difference in strength between it and the Grotto Heaven Realm was like heaven and earth. Just as the patriarch of the academy's heartless heaven was supported in the domain of Wu Dao's true body, the two forces collided and clashed. Wu Dao's purgatory only lasted for a moment before collapsing. Under the suppression of the world of heartless heaven, the six flames were extinguished one after another. As the saying goes, heaven and earth are heartless and treat all things as straw dogs. The patriarch of the academy named his world Heartless Heaven, which also showed his ambition to control the world. The greater success of the martial domain realm was already enough to suppress a quasi-emperor, but ultimately, it was impossible to cross the unreachable chasm of the Arch Realm. Of course, the patriarch of the academy's current state was also not good. He was still in danger. At this moment, after the patriarch of the academy forced Wu Dao's true body to retreat, his eyes flashed with a mysterious brilliance. In an instant, his hands continuously formed seals, and finally countless seals merged into one. 3 pure qi. The patriarch of the academy softly muttered. At his fingertips, purple, green, and red rays of light suddenly merged into one, evolving into a wisp of mysterious gray aura. As soon as this grayish aura appeared, the surrounding heaven and earth trembled. The pupils of Wu Dao's true body contracted slightly. This mysterious aura seemed to have touched the origin of heaven and earth, and the power it emitted even made him wary. He subconsciously took out the prison-suppressing cauldron to protect himself. Wu Dao's true body didn't know what this mysterious aura was, but it was enough to kill him. 3 pure qi? Yunju had once mentioned to him in Avicii that after collecting the 3 pure qi jade book, there seemed to be more magical changes. Back then, the Longevity Emperor had comprehended this change, which allowed him to live for such a long time. The so-called 3 pure qi referred to the mysterious gray fog that the patriarch of the academy had just condensed. Chapter 2898. The patriarch of the academy held up merciless heaven to protect his surroundings. He waved his hand and guided the mysterious aura to spread along his arm until it enveloped his entire body. As the mysterious aura passed by, the patriarch of the academy's injuries caused by the hell spring water quickly stopped. Normally, the hell spring water had already seeped into the body of the patriarch of the academy and merged with his flesh and blood. It would be difficult for him to get rid of it. But under the cover of the mysterious aura, the power of the hell spring water was rapidly weakening. Of course, getting rid of the hell spring water also consumed a lot of the mysterious aura. Not long after, the patriarch of the academy stopped his injuries and the mysterious aura also dissipated. After getting rid of the hell spring water, the damaged flesh and blood of the patriarch of the academy healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, he was as good as new. Su Zimo frowned slightly. He still knew too little about the power of the Emperor realm. After all, he had not touched that level yet. Although he had seen some emperors, he had not asked about the Emperor realm. It seems that the power just now has exceeded your understanding. The patriarch of the academy looked at Wu Dao's original body not far away and said coldly. He had never thought that he would suffer such a setback in the hands of Qinglian of the true First Realm. The taste of the spring water is not good, is it? Wu Dao's original body said lightly, I'm afraid this power is also not within your understanding. The appearance of the patriarch of the academy seemed to have recovered, but Wu Dao's original body knew that the hell spring water had caused considerable damage to the body and blood of the patriarch of the academy. The patriarch of the academy would not be able to completely recover from this damage, at least in a short time. It's just a side trick. The patriarch of the academy rose into the air and chose to take the initiative to attack this time. He held up merciless heaven and charged towards Wu Dao's original body. He shouted softly, I want to see how you can resist the power of a world without the hell of flames just now. Wu Dao's original body did not dodge. The flames in his eyes burned brightly. Rumble. All of a sudden, a violent sound came from within his body. His qi and blood circulated like rolling thunder with a terrifying momentum. He pushed his bloodline to the limit. Wu Dao's true body chanted softly, heaven and earth as the furnace, creation as the workmanship, yin and yang as the charcoal, all things as the copper, condense. In the next moment, a huge furnace appeared. The 6 flames around it transformed into 6 lifelike blazing divine dragons, burning around the furnace. This enormous furnace had been heated until it was bright red and translucent, emitting a high temperature that was enough to incinerate all living beings. Bloodline phenomenon, heaven and earth furnace. With the increase of his cultivation realm and the addition of the netherworld ghost flame, the bloodline of Wu Dao's main body became even stronger. The Dao of this heaven and earth smelt was extremely tyrannical. To begin with, it was meant to smelt the heaven and earth and refine all living beings. Now that the furnace of heaven and earth had appeared, it even wanted to devour the patriarch of the Academy's merciless heaven, incinerate it into endless Dao techniques, and take them for its own. Bloodline phenomenon? The patriarch of the Academy narrowed his eyes. The strength of Wu Dao's main body had indeed exceeded his imagination. The bloodline phenomenon of a peerless king could actually have such a scene, concept, and boldness? It even wanted to devour his world. You! How dare you! The patriarch of the Academy's expression did not change, but he was furious. Boom! The patriarch of the Academy's merciless heaven collided with the bloodline phenomenon of Wu Dao's main body, causing a loud bang. Merciless heaven and the heaven and earth smelt remained motionless in midair, maintaining their collision posture. Time seemed to have stopped. Only the surrounding void was unable to withstand the shock waves from the two forces and continued to collapse. Crack, crack, crack. A series of cracking sounds came from the heaven and earth smelt as clear cracks appeared on it. In the end, it could not defeat the world of the Dharch realm. Entering the Dharch realm from the Grotto Heaven realm was like a fish leaping into a dragon. The difference between the two was too great. Even someone as strong as Wu Dao's main body, who created his own Dao technique that did not enter the 5 elements and jumped out of the cycle of reincarnation, could not close this gap. Su Zimo did not know that although the patriarch of the Academy had the absolute upper hand, his heart was greatly shaken and even uncontrollable shock. Although his world had shattered his opponent's bloodline phenomenon, his heartless heaven had also suffered a huge blow, and its power had decreased significantly. A large area where merciless heaven collided with the heaven and earth smelt was burned red and showed signs of spreading. How was this possible? How could the blood qi of a king be so terrifying? The patriarch of the Academy did not dare to imagine what level this bloodline phenomenon would reach if Araki Takashi in front of him entered the Dharch realm. Perhaps he did not need to enter the Dharch realm. As long as he advanced another level to the perfected Grotto Heaven realm, this bloodline phenomenon would be able to fight against his merciless heaven. If he entered the Quasi-Emperor realm, his merciless heaven would be refined. At this moment, the patriarch of the Academy felt a huge pressure and threat from Wu Dao's main body. If he could not kill Araki Takashi in this battle, it would be even more impossible in the future. At this moment, cracks appeared on the heaven and earth smelt. Wu Dao's main body reappeared and once again urged his blood qi to stabilize the heaven and earth smelt. At the same time, he lifted the hell-suppressing cauldron and injected his primordial spirit into it. Whoosh! The hell-suppressing cauldron shook and suddenly released a halo of light, as if breaking through the river of time and releasing its former glory. Ong! Roar! Screech! Hiss! The dragon roared, the tiger roared, the phoenix roared, and the turtle roared. The 4 saint souls on the hell-suppressing cauldron were all awakened and rushed down from the hell-suppressing cauldron. They surrounded Wu Dao's main body and stared at the Academy Patriarch not far away, exuding a terrifying aura. Wu Dao's main body raised the hell-suppressing cauldron and smashed it towards the Academy Patriarch's merciless heaven. Together with this attack, the four saint souls rushed up at the same time. Boom! It was earth-shattering. When the hell-suppressing cauldron smashed into the merciless heaven, not only the Academy Patriarch side of the world, but also the surrounding space trembled. However, the heaven and earth smelt was indeed unable to fight against a true emperor. But with the help of the hell-suppressing cauldron, Wu Dao's main body could unleash the power of a true emperor by pushing his bloodline to the limit. The azure dragon coiled, the white tiger bit, the vermilion bird burned, and the spirit turtle stepped on the sea. Boom, boom, boom. Wu Dao's main body's aura was monstrous. His eyes were like torches and his body was burning with raging flames. Like a demon god, he raised the hell-suppressing cauldron and attacked the merciless heaven ferociously. As long as the merciless heaven was destroyed, the Academy Patriarch would lose the protection of a side of the world, and it would be difficult for him to defend against Wu Dao's main body in close combat. Die! The Academy Patriarch's glabella flashed and suddenly released a primordial spirit secret technique. His cultivation level was a realm higher than Wu Dao's main body. He had many ways to suppress his opponent. Not only could he destroy a side of the world, but he could also kill him with a primordial spirit secret technique. Chapter 2899. Against the essence spirit secret skill of the Academy Patriarch, Wu Dao's true body was unmoved and did not release his essence spirit secret skill to defend against it. When the essence spirit secret skill struck the mask of Mo Luo, ripples appeared on the surface of the mask like a lake. As though it was stimulated, a menacing ghost face was reflected on the surface of the mask. It was either laughing, crying, sad, happy, shocked, or fearful. All sorts of emotions were revealed on the ghost face in a shuddering manner. The mask of Mo Luo was originally created by the Bo Sun by refining his 7 emotions clone and fusing countless treasures. It contained joy, anger, sorrow, fear, love, hatred, and lust. Not only could it defend against essence spirit attacks, it could also confuse the minds of opponents. The Academy Patriarch's heart skipped a beat when he caught sight of that sinister ghost face. Naturally, his martial spirit fire could not defend against the Emperor Realm essence spirit of the Academy Patriarch. However, the mask of Mo Luo blocked half of the damage of the essence spirit secret skill, and the remaining power was dissipated by the martial spirit fire. Actually, if the Academy Patriarch released the essence spirit secret skill of the witch race, it would indeed cause immense trouble for Wu Dao's true body. Most of the essence spirit secret skills of the witch race were incantations that targeted the essence spirit and would descend into one's consciousness out of thin air. Even the mask of Mo Luo could not defend against it. However, the Academy Patriarch was already filled with doubts and fear after being severely injured by Su Zimo's Hell Water Spring earlier on. Given his cautious personality, he would definitely not dare to use any methods of the witch race in front of Su Zimo for fear of being countered by the Hell Water Spring. However, in reality, the Hell Water Spring on Su Zimo's side was already depleted after the baptism of the Emperor's tomb, the 2 curses, and the battle earlier on. When the Academy Patriarch saw that the essence spirit secret skill was useless against Wu Dao's true body, he changed his move once more and released his secret skill. Heaven Escape, Earth Escape, Human Escape, Wind Escape, Cloud Escape, Dragon Escape, Tiger Escape, Divine Escape, Mystic 9 escape techniques. Initially, there was still a ghost escape that the sect master of the Academy had already released previously. That was the reason why he was able to arrive beside Su Zimo stealthily and even hide from the senses of the martial Dao true body. In the past, the Patriarch of the Academy had only released 1 or 2 escape methods, and that was enough to solve everything. And now, the 9 mystic escape techniques were all unleashed. It was to kill Wu Dao in one fell swoop. If he allowed Wu Dao's true body to escape this time, then when Wu Dao's true body's cultivation level improved, he would never be able to stand out. As long as Wu Dao's true body existed, he wouldn't dare to show himself. This was because he was unable to deduce Wu Dao's true body. And once he appeared, there was a possibility that he would be targeted by Wu Dao's true body. The 9 mystic escape techniques were the most powerful secret techniques of the mystic escape techniques. Every escape technique released would strengthen the Patriarch of the Academy with the power of different forms and races. For example, the Dragon Escape Technique. The Patriarch of the Academy would exude the aura of dragons. In this state, he could even release some secret techniques of dragons. When the Wind Escape Technique was released, his movements would become erratic and abnormally agile. When the Ghost Escape Technique was released, his movements would become faintly discernible and difficult to detect. It could be said that when all the 9 mystic escape techniques were released, the Patriarch of the Academy's combat strength would rise to a huge level. The Patriarch of the Academy's counterattack was not over yet. He could see that the power released by Wu Dao's true body had not reached the Emperor realm and could not compete with him at all. Wu Dao's true body was completely relying on the great Emperor's weapon, the prison suppressing cauldron, to release the power of the Emperor realm. If he wanted to kill Wu Dao's true body, he had to first suppress the prison suppressing cauldron. Whoosh! The Patriarch of the Academy held up the merciless heaven to block the attack from Wu Dao's true body. At the same time, he took out a long sword. The sword's shape was simple and crude, and it looked like the most ordinary sword in the mortal world. The blade was 3 feet and 7 inches long, and the sword light was restrained. However, the moment the sword appeared, the prison suppressing cauldron's aura was greatly suppressed. The 4 Saint Souls' senses were sharp, and they could sense the power hidden in the sword. Their attacks paused for a moment. A weapon that could fight against the prison suppressing cauldron was definitely not an ordinary Emperor weapon. Emperor Divine Weapon? Wu Dao's true body murmured softly. That's right. The Patriarch of the Academy did not hide anything. He nodded and said, "This is the Longevity Sword, the sword that the Longevity Emperor always carried with him. I'd like to see if your prison-suppressing cauldron can block the Longevity Sword." The Longevity Emperor and the Avicii Emperor were not fated to meet in the same era. Who would have thought that the 2 Emperor Divine weapons would cross time and space to fight today? Swoosh! The Patriarch of the Academy held up the merciless heaven and held the Longevity Sword in his hand. He also cast the Mystic 9 Escape Technique on himself. His combat strength increased tremendously. Swoosh! 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 Sword light flashed in all directions, cleansing the void. Even the 4 Saint Souls could not block the Longevity Sword's sharpness. With the merciless heaven, the Patriarch of the Academy was able to fight against Wu Dao's true body, who was holding the prison-suppressing cauldron. Now that the Patriarch of the Academy had the Longevity Sword in his hand and cast the Mystic 9 Escape Technique on himself, he instantly turned the tables and gained the upper hand. Poochie! In just a few breaths' time, the Azure Dragon Saint Soul was cut into 2 by the Longevity Sword. The Azure Dragon Saint Soul let out a sorrowful cry and turned into a ray of light that entered the prison-suppressing cauldron and fell into a deep sleep. Poochie! 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 Not long after, the White Tiger Saint Soul, the Vermilion Bird Saint Soul, and the Black Tortoise Saint Soul were all cut down by the Longevity Sword. Without the help of the 4 Saint Souls, the prison-suppressing cauldron's power weakened. Wu Dao's true body had not entered the martial Emperor realm, so he could not unleash the full power of the prison-suppressing cauldron. However, the Patriarch of the Academy, who was in the martial Emperor realm, could unleash the full power of the Longevity Sword. Under this situation, the martial Dao body was forced to retreat step by step, and it was unable to withstand the attacks. The Heaven and Earth Cauldron was about to collapse at any time. Wu Dao's true body could only rely on the indestructible prison-suppressing cauldron to temporarily block the sharpness of the Longevity Sword. However, the merciless Heaven continued to attack and could collapse at any time. Su Zimo, you've lost. The Patriarch of the Academy regained his confidence and said calmly, "In the face of absolute power, your little tricks can't change the overall situation." Wu Dao's true body resisted as he pondered. The Patriarch of the Academy's strength had exceeded his expectations. The Patriarch of the Academy should have just entered the martial Emperor realm and could only be considered an ordinary Imperial Emperor. Even so, the Patriarch of the Academy, who had many trump cards, was definitely an ordinary Imperial Emperor. He was a powerful existence that could look down on his peers. If the Hell Water Spring had not severely injured the Patriarch of the Academy first, this battle would have been even more difficult for him. Of course, even so, Wu Dao's true body had a way to deal with it. Otherwise, he would not have lured the Patriarch of the Academy into the trap. The first was the Netherworld Treasure Mirror. As long as he was willing to expend a large amount of blood essence and use the Netherworld Treasure Mirror again, there was a high chance that he would severely injure the Patriarch of the Academy or even kill him. However, there was an extremely evil artifact spirit hidden in the Netherworld Treasure Mirror that could not be controlled. This was a huge risk in itself. Another point was that Wu Dao's true body had the bloodline of a king. Even if he expended his blood essence and released the Netherworld Eye, it was unknown if he could kill an imperial emperor. After all, the Patriarch of the Academy was indeed powerful enough. If he did not kill the Patriarch of the Academy, the two true bodies would be the ones to die. This was because Wu Dao's true body had already expended a large amount of blood essence and would become extremely weak regardless of whether he succeeded in sacrificing the Netherworld Treasure Mirror with his blood. If the Patriarch of the Academy did not die, he would be the one to die. Chapter 2900. There was an even more important reason. Even if Wu Dao's true body used the Netherworld Treasure Mirror to kill the Academy Patriarch, he would definitely be targeted by the Celestial Worship World. At this moment, the Celestial Worship World must be frantically searching for the person who broke the 9 Hell Sinful Grounds and the group of Rakshasa who escaped. The 9 Hell Sinful Grounds. He had used the power of the Netherworld Treasure Mirror to break the Sinful Grounds. Although the Celestial Worship World did not know of his existence, the power of the Netherworld Treasure Mirror would definitely remain in the broken Sinful Grounds. Once he took out the Netherworld Treasure Mirror again, he would easily be targeted by the Celestial Worship World. So far, he did not want to fall out with the Celestial Worship World, nor did he want to be blocked in the Avicii Hell and be unable to appear. He still wanted to go to the Grand Desolate World. Other than the Netherworld Treasure Mirror, there was only one last method left. Yuanwu Grotto Heaven. The Yuanwu Grotto Heaven was only at the greater success stage. Of course, it could not threaten the Emperor Realm Academy Patriarch, nor could it fight against a world. However, if he released Wu Dao's Purgatory and Yuanwu Grotto Heaven at the same time, even Wu Dao's true body did not know what kind of power the two would erupt with, because he had never tried it before. Of course, in this way, Wu Dao's true body would still feel that unknown sense of danger. This was a huge risk for him. However, he did not know when that sense of danger would descend. It could be this time, or the next time. And now, if he could not suppress the Academy Patriarch, the two true bodies would not be able to escape death. There was one more thing. Even Wu Dao's true body was extremely curious about what kind of changes would occur when Wu Dao's Purgatory and Yuanwu Grotto Heaven fused. Because this was not a simple fusion between two grotto heavens. Wu Dao's Purgatory was not a grotto heaven, but a domain that nurtured Wu Dao's techniques. The birth of Yuanwu Grotto Heaven was even more special. In the future, those who cultivated Wu Dao would be able to condense their own Wu Dao domain when they stepped into the martial domain. However, no one could replicate it in Yuanwu Grotto Heaven. The Yuanwu Grotto Heaven was formed when Wu Dao's true body shattered Wu Dao's true body. The birth of Wu Dao's true body was an anomaly in itself. Until now, Su Zimo could not understand why such an anomaly was born when he created Wu Dao in Tianhuang mainland. It was born in the form of a Dao fruit. Back then, Su Zimo's cultivation was too low, so he didn't think too much about the whole process. As he ascended to the upper realm and his cultivation level deepened, he gradually realized that the birth of Wu Dao's fruit was too unusual. At that time, he was only at the Void Return realm. Exhausting his lifespan to establish Wu Dao was already his limit. How could the fruit of Wu Dao, an anomaly that did not belong to the 5 elements and jumped out of the cycle of reincarnation? What was going on? What happened during the whole process? Although Su Zimo did not have an answer, be it the Wu Dao Purgatory or the Yuanwu Grotto Heaven, both of them were too special. The fusion of the two was not the fusion of 2 grotto heavens, but the fusion of 2 Dao techniques. Against the torrential aura of the Academy Patriarch, Wu Dao's true body decided to take a risk. Boom. Suddenly, Wu Dao's true body stopped retreating and his body became faintly discernible. A gigantic and strange dark grotto heaven appeared around him. That sense of danger descended once more. This time round, it was even more intense. In fact, Wu Dao's true body could vaguely sense the source of that sense of danger. Above the starry skies. Could it be the major worlds? Fu. When the Academy Patriarch saw Wu Dao's true body release a grotto heaven, he could not help but chuckle. Greater mastery of the grotto heaven. Is this your final trump card? Wu Dao's true body hurriedly retracted his consciousness and tried his best to suppress that sense of impending danger. Right now, his greatest danger was the Academy Patriarch. Under the pressure of the Heartless Heaven, the Yuanwu Grotto Heaven, which was only at the greater mastery of the Yuanwu Grotto Heaven, could not withstand the pressure and was on the verge of collapse. Wu Dao's true body frantically activated his martial soul and tried to reform the shattered Wu Dao's purgatory. The Academy Patriarch frowned and seemed to sense a hint of danger. The Academy Patriarch activated his longevity sword and entangled the prison-suppressing cauldron. At the same time, he held up the Heartless Heaven and ruthlessly suppressed Wu Dao's true body. The Academy Patriarch did not intend to give Wu Dao's true body a chance to reform the Wu Dao's purgatory. At that moment, Wu Dao's true body made a series of hand seals and pointed in front of him. Boom! A gigantic dark door surrounded by demonic qi suddenly descended and blocked the Academy Patriarch's path. The door emitted a terrifying aura as if it wanted to devour everything. Black flames burned around the gigantic door. The gates of hell. To a certain extent, this could be considered a form of grotto heaven. As long as it was the power of a grotto heaven, it would not be able to resist the Academy Patriarch's Heartless Heaven. The desperate struggle of a trapped beast. Break. The Academy Patriarch shouted. Before he could finish his sentence, there was a loud boom. The gates of hell and Heartless Heaven collided, and a loud explosion shook the heavens and the earth. Almost in an instant, the flames of the Hell's Gate were extinguished. Cracks appeared on the huge gate, and it soon collapsed. That was enough. Just a moment of delay was enough for Wu Dao's true body. When the Academy Patriarch broke through the gates of hell and saw Wu Dao's true body again, Wu Dao's purgatory and Yuanwu Grotto Heaven had been fully released. The two completely different Dao techniques and powers had reached a miraculous equilibrium in Wu Dao's true body and resonated. The Academy Patriarch's expression changed. He sensed an extremely dangerous aura from Wu Dao's true body. What was going on? How could such a drastic change happen in the blink of an eye? The Academy Patriarch could not understand and could not believe it. Just as he was hesitating, Wu Dao's true body advanced instead of retreating. His eyes were like torches as he took a step forward, raised his hand, and punched towards the Heartless Heaven. You want to break my world with your bare hands, you. Before the Academy Patriarch could finish his words, he was interrupted by a loud bang. Boom! The fist of Wu Dao's true body hit the Heartless Heaven, and the Academy Patriarch's world shook violently, and there were even sounds of cracking. Hiss! The Academy Patriarch's body trembled. One punch almost shattered his Heartless Heaven. What kind of power was this? Looking at the faintly discernible figure of Wu Dao's true body, which seemed to have turned into a dark grotto heaven, the Academy Patriarch's heart finally had a trace of fear. Wu Dao's true body did not give the Academy Patriarch any breathing room. The sense of danger from above the starry sky was getting stronger and stronger, almost suffocating him. He had to suppress the Academy Patriarch as soon as possible. Boom! Wu Dao's true body stepped forward and punched a second time. Each punch contained the power of the fusion and resonance of Wu Dao's purgatory and Yuanwu Grotto Heaven. Heaven and earth seemed to have suddenly stopped. Rumble. The next moment, the Heartless Heaven collapsed under the Academy Patriarch's incredulous gaze. Chapter 2901. Without the protection of a world, it meant that the Patriarch of the Academy had lost his greatest reliance, and his combat strength was greatly reduced. Wu Dao's true body had a torrential aura and was unstoppable as he advanced once more in a flash. The patriarch of the academy reacted extremely quickly and had already retreated before merciless heaven shattered. At the same time, he flicked his sleeves and 12 wrinkled ancient talismans appeared before him. Every single talisman had 2 strange words etched on it. Su Zimo's expression changed. The words etched on the 12 talismans were of the same origin as the words in the Yin Yang Talisman Sutra. 6 of the talismans had black words Ding Mao, Ding Si, Ding Wei, Ding Yu, Ding Hai, and Ding Chou. The other 6 had white words Jia Zi, Jia Su, Jia Shen, Jia Wu, Jia Chen, and Jia Yin respectively. The 12 talismans looked extremely ancient and had been through countless years. The power of the words on the talismans had weakened significantly. However, the moment the patriarch of the academy released the 12 talismans, they transformed into 12 figures with terrifying auras in the blink of an eye. 6 of them were women in black armor. They had graceful figures and wielded battle swords. Their auras were outstanding, and they resembled fairies from the immortal palaces. The other 6 were men in white armor. They were burly and wielded battle spears. Their auras were torrential, and they resembled divine generals. 12 emperor lords? Wu Dao's true body furrowed his brows slightly. The aura that the 12 figures emanated was not weaker than the patriarch of the academy. In fact, it was much stronger. This was not the power of the patriarch of the academy himself. It was more like he obtained the treasure from somewhere. There was a high chance that he obtained it from the inheritance ground of the 9 heavens mystic fairy emperor. Su Zimo gazed at the 12 figures conjured by the talismans in deep thought. Wu Dao's true body did not have time to think. If he wanted to kill the patriarch of the academy, he had to break through the obstruction of the 12 men and women. Herg! The 6 men hollered at the same time and stabbed towards Wu Dao's true body with their battle spears. The battle spear tore through the air with great force. The surrounding void instantly collapsed, and countless cracks appeared. The strength of the 6 men was too strong. Apart from not being able to hold up a world, the power that the 6 men in battle armor unleashed was definitely at the Emperor realm. Boom! Wu Dao's true body punched out. This punch caused the void to collapse, enveloping all 6 halberds within it. The 6 halberds deviated from their original trajectory and collided with Wu Dao's fist. Bang! The 6 tall men shuddered, and Wu Dao's original body also paused. The 6 halberds were withstanding an incomparably terrifying explosive force. The entire halberd was pressed down by Wu Dao's fist, and a massive arc appeared in the air, releasing Wu Dao's purgatory and Yuanwu grotto heaven at the same time. He could shatter one side of the Academy Patriarch's world with one punch. At this moment, however, it was blocked by the 6 men transformed from talismans. Moreover, the power of those talismans had obviously weakened a lot due to the passage of time. Otherwise, the combat strength of these 6 men would be even more terrifying. Fist and halberd collided, and no one retreated. However, no matter which side it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens if they wanted to take another step forward. At this moment, the 6 black-armored women held sharp swords and moved swiftly. They passed through the gaps between the 6 men and stabbed towards Wu Dao's true body. The sword light was biting cold, and the murderous aura was sinister. This is a little tricky. Wu Dao's true body blocked the 6 men's halberds with one punch. At the same time, he swung the prison-suppressing cauldron and smashed it towards the 6 women. Although the 6 women were transformed from talismans, they seemed to have their own consciousness and combat skills. They did not choose to clash head-on with the prison-suppressing cauldron. Whoosh! The 6 women's movements were agile. Their swords separated from the prison-suppressing cauldron as soon as they touched it. Borrowing the huge force, they bypassed Wu Dao's true body and surrounded Su Zimo behind him. On the other side, the patriarch of the academy threw out 12 talismans. He did not stay where he was. Instead, he retreated and distanced himself from the battlefield as soon as possible, distancing himself from Wu Dao's true body. These 12 talismans were obtained from the inheritance of Xian Envy Empress of the 9 heavens. They were his biggest trump card. However, he still had no confidence in his heart. He did not know if the six Ding six Jia gods created by the 12 talismans could stop Wu Daozun. Therefore, after throwing out the 12 talismans, he retreated from the battlefield and stood in the distance to observe. If the situation was not good, he could escape immediately. If the six Ding and six Jia gods could kill Araki Takashi or trap Araki Takashi, it would not be too late for him to turn back. He was cautious by nature. Today, he had suffered a great loss at the hands of Su Zimo. He had become even more careful. At this moment, he could not help but be delighted when he saw the six Jia gods blocking Wu Dao's true body head-on, while the six Jade women bypassed Wu Dao's true body and went straight for Qinglian's true body. The six Jia gods were holding back Araki Takashi. Su Zimo, who was at the true first realm, could not withstand the attacks of the six Jade women at the Emperor realm. He did not even have a chance to escape. If he could obtain the grade 12 creation Qinglian, it meant that there was still a chance for this battle to turn around. On the other side, Su Zimo was still reciting the Yin-Yang Talisman Sutra in his heart. The entire Yin-Yang Talisman Sutra only had slightly more than 600 words. He quickly found the same words as those on the talismans just now. Originally, these words were difficult to understand, and he could not understand their meaning. Just now, when he saw the 12 talismans with those words transform into 6 men and 6 women, he gradually understood and understood. According to the Yin-Yang Talisman Sutra, Ding Mao, Ding Si, Ding Wei, Ding Yu, Ding Hai, and Ding Chou were the 6 Ding. Jia Zi, Jia Su, Jia Xin, Jia Wu, Jia Chun, and Jia Yin were the 6 Jia gods. The 6 Ding were the Jade gods, and the 6 Jia gods were the divine generals and the Yang gods. Shu Lu Ding, Lu Jia Xing, gods and ghosts disperse. Su Zimo had been puzzled by the line of words on it for many years. At this moment, because of the 12 talismans scattered by the patriarch of the academy, he finally understood the true essence of the Taoist technique within. If he was not wrong, the 6 Ding and 6 Jia gods should be one of the Taoist techniques of Tai Yi in the technique repository. However, the current situation did not allow him to comprehend and cultivate. He had to deal with the 6 Jade women before him first. It might be difficult for others to resolve the 6 Ding and 6 Jia gods. However, Su Zimo could see through the source of the Taoist technique and could resolve it from the source of the power of the 6 Ding and 6 Jia gods. The 6 Jade women were condensed from the power of Yin, so they were called Yin gods. Su Zimo had never seen any power of Yin that was stronger and purer than the nether fluorescent divine stone in his left eye. In the blink of an eye, the 6 Jade women closed in. Su Zimo was not in a hurry. He raised his head slowly, and his left eye suddenly turned pitch black like ink, emitting a dark and cold aura. The 6 swords of the 6 Jade women were about to stab Su Zimo's body when they suddenly stopped. The expressions on the faces of the 6 maidens became somewhat sluggish. Immediately after, the 6 Jade women turned into streaks of light and entered Su Zimo's left eye, being swallowed clean by the nether fluorescent divine stone. End of chapter. Chapter 2902. The power of the 6 Emperor-level talismans was completely devoured by Su Zimo's left eye. This was an extremely huge and dense power. With the cultivation realm of Qinglian's true body, she could not withstand it at all. However, the power of extreme Yin transformed from the 6 Ding Jade Maidens was completely absorbed by the nether fluorescent divine stone. It did not cause any harm to Su Zimo. The nether fluorescent divine stone was like a bottomless dark abyss that devoured everything. It was also a freak combination of factors. If Su Zimo had not obtained the Yin-Yang Talisman scripture, he would not have been able to deduce that the 6 Ding Jade Maidens were formed from the power of extreme Yin. If he did not have the nether fluorescent divine stone, he would not have been able to devour the 6 Ding Jade Maidens so easily. The Academy Patriarch did not expect that his strongest trump card, which he had hidden for so long and could not even bear to use, would be so easily resolved by Su Zimo. This was the so-called man proposes, God disposes. After the nether fluorescent divine stone devoured the 6 Ding Jade Maidens, Su Zimo did not sense any abnormalities. He activated the illumination divine stone again. His right eye became as white as jade and blazed. Just as expected, the 6 Ding divine generals that were originally fighting Wu Dao's true body turned into rays of white light and surged towards Su Zimo's right eye. The 6 Ding divine generals were formed from the power of the sun. These rays of power of the sun were completely devoured by the illumination divine stone. The 12 emperor-level talismans dissipated. The Academy Patriarch was long gone. The Academy Patriarch was too vigilant. Even after releasing the 12 emperor-level talismans, he did not turn back. Instead, he stood and watched from afar. When he saw the 6 Ding Jade Maidens being absorbed by Su Zimo's left eye, he was extremely decisive and turned to flee without hesitation. He even deliberately left a car to block Araki Takashi's pursuit. This time, not only did he not obtain the 12th grade creation Qinglian, but he was also heavily injured by the Hellwater Spring. His chi and blood were damaged. Moreover, he had lost too much in this battle. The Taboo Mystic Manual, the 3 Pure Jade Book, was taken away by Araki Takashi. The 12 Emperor-level talismans were thrown out, but they did not cause any waves. Although he was unwilling, he could only admit defeat. If he continued to be entangled, his life would end here. Of course, after this battle, he did not only lose the 3 Pure Jade Book. Most importantly, he'd practically lost all his advantages and opportunities. From now on, he could only choose to lay low, conceal his tracks, and carefully cultivate as if he was facing an abyss. He knew that Su Zimo would never let him go. Therefore, as long as Desolate Marshal was alive, he would not dare to show his face. That was because he could not deduce anything about Desolate Marshal. Scen. This time, he had used all of his trump cards, but he had barely survived. Next time, he had no confidence that he could escape from Araki Takashi. The Academy Patriarch was confident that he could defeat any opponent. However, he was a little afraid of the unfathomable Araki Takashi. What kind of monster had Su Zimo cultivated? The Academy Patriarch could not understand. In addition, he could not return to Chinkuin Academy. Not to mention whether Araki Takashi would let him go. If news of today's matter spread, the immortal emperors of the Sword World would probably kill their way to Chinkuin Academy to seek an explanation. He had almost lost everything because he failed to deal with Su Zimo this time. Ever since the clan master of the academy started his cultivation, he had never failed. Even more than 2,000 years ago, although he did not obtain Qinglian, he did gain something. At least, he collected the complete 3 Pure Jade Book. With the complete 3 Pure Jade Book, he went into seclusion for many years and finally comprehended the location of the Longevity Emperor's inheritance. He obtained an opportunity there and obtained the Longevity Sword, stepping into the immortal Emperor realm. But this time, he had miscalculated. This miscalculation almost cost him his life. The Academy Patriarch was naturally unwilling to accept this. As he fled, he thought of a countermeasure. His first reaction was to spread the secret between Araki Takashi and Su Zimo to take revenge on Su Zimo. However, on second thought, even if this matter was spread, what harm would it do to Su Zimo? If the various powerhouses and factions knew that Su Zimo had a terrifying expert like Araki Takashi protecting him, they would probably be even more careful and not dare to attack him. In that case, wouldn't it save Su Zimo a lot of trouble and help him instead? That was not right. After careful consideration, the Academy Patriarch decided to hide it for the time being. That was only one of the reasons. There was a more important reason. I've suffered such a big setback in the hands of Araki Takashi. Why should I remind others? The Academy Patriarch would only feel better if someone else had fallen in the hands of Araki Takashi. After dealing with Lu Ding and Liu Jiashun, 2 balls of purple flames rose in the eyes of Wu Dao's original body. His gaze crossed the layers of void and immediately searched for the Academy Patriarch's traces. Soon, he saw the Academy Patriarch's figure. Wu Dao's original body frowned. The Academy Patriarch's speed of escape was too fast. At this moment, the Academy Patriarch had already fled to the end of the starry sky. It would take a long time to catch up to him. He had consumed a lot of energy in this battle. The Yuanwu Grotto Heaven and Wu Dao's Purgatory could not hold on for much longer. Moreover, the sense of danger from the Yuanwu Grotto Heaven was getting clearer and closer. It even made him shudder with fear. Wu Dao's original body was afraid and hurriedly dispersed the Yuanwu Grotto Heaven. After the Yuanwu Grotto Heaven dissipated, the sense of danger also gradually disappeared. Of course, more importantly, the Academy Patriarch had left him a problem before he left. The Academy Patriarch had originally set up the 8 gates hidden formation around this battlefield, blocking the secrets of the heavens and trapping dozens of kings. If the Academy Patriarch wanted to kill this group of kings, it could be said that it was easy. However, the Academy Patriarch did not do so. Before he escaped, he removed the 8 gates hidden formation and released the dozens of kings. If Wu Dao's original body chose to chase after him, he would definitely put Qinglian's true body in danger. The Academy Patriarch was too smart and too cautious. It was impossible for an emperor to fail when attacking a perfected immortal. Even if he was very confident in this battle, he still left himself a way out. Although he did not manage to kill the Academy Patriarch this time, he had already resolved the crisis of Qinglian's true body. With the Academy Patriarch's cautious personality, as long as Wu Dao's original body was alive, the Academy Patriarch would not dare to appear. Originally, the Academy Patriarch was Su Zimo's greatest threat. But now, Wu Dao's original body had become the Academy Patriarch's greatest threat. As for whether the Academy Patriarch would spread the secret of Wu Dao's original body after he escaped, Su Zimo was not worried. Firstly, he did not care whether this matter was exposed or not. Secondly, with his understanding of the Academy Patriarch, the latter might not tell anyone. The Academy Patriarch had a dark mind and schemed against others all year round. Now that he had suffered a great loss at the hands of Wu Dao's original body, how could he be kind enough to tell others and let others be on guard? For Su Zimo, the gains from this battle were too great. Not only did he get rid of the hidden danger of the Academy Patriarch, but he also obtained the complete 3 pure jade book. Another forbidden secret book was in his hands. Not only that, but he also used the 12 talismans thrown out by the Academy Patriarch to decipher the key to the secret method of 6 Ding and 6 Jia in the Yin and Yang talisman scripture. Of course, now was not the time to cultivate. There were still some small troubles around that needed to be dealt with. Chapter 2903. Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, Glorious Sun Monarch, and dozens of other kings were trapped in the 8 gates hidden formation and did not dare to act rashly. Songmu, can't your Polychoria find a way out? Not long after, Stone Puppet Monarch was irritated and could not help but ask. After all, they were here to kill Sword World's Su Zhu. Now that they were trapped here, even if they escaped in the future, they would not have the chance to catch up to Su Zhu. No. Song Mu's expression was grave as he said in a deep voice, "My Polychoria can see through the surrounding fog, but it can't determine the way out of the 8 gates." Glorious Sun Monarch suddenly said, "This 8 gates hidden formation is indeed powerful. I just vaguely sensed a terrifying energy fluctuation coming from behind the 8 gates. If we enter by mistake, we won't have a chance to survive." The other peak-tier kings also sensed this abnormal fluctuation and nodded. They did not know that this energy fluctuation had nothing to do with the 8 gates hidden formation. It was completely due to the aftermath of the battle between the Academy Patriarch and Wu Dao's true body. It penetrated the 8 gates hidden formation and gradually spread over. Time passed bit by bit. After an unknown period of time, the surrounding fog gradually thinned and showed signs of dissipating. The dozens of kings were invigorated when they saw this. Without waiting for others to remind him, Songmu had already activated his Polychoria and scanned the surroundings again. "The 8 gates have disappeared." Songmu was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "The 8 gates hidden formation should have been dispelled." Cold Eye Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, Glorious Sun Monarch, and the others did not look good. "Humph." King Lu Wuwang snorted coldly and said, "Even if we managed to escape, I'm afraid that Sword World's Su Zhu would have fled by now." The fog had already thinned and could no longer block everyone's vision. The dozens of kings hurriedly spread out their divine senses and looked around. The starry sky was boundless and boundless. Everyone looked over, and almost immediately, they discovered two figures not far away. One of them had black hair and a delicate face. It was Sword World's Suju. The other wore a silver mask, and his purple robe was tattered. He looked miserable and his aura was weak. Although he had severely injured the Academy Patriarch in the battle just now, Wu Dao's true body was also greatly exhausted. His purple robe was in tatters from the impact of Heartless Heaven, and he did not have time to replace it, so he looked miserable. Huh. Monarch, Stone Puppet Monarch, and the other's eyes, and their eyes lit up. Their eyes saw Suzumo, Suju, and the others. Originally, everyone thought that Sword World's Suju had already escaped, and that their pursuit had failed. But they didn't think that Suju would be so close to them. Lord Bloodley suddenly smiled and said, "We are trapped by the Eight Gates hidden formation. I think Suju is also trapped in the Eight Gates hidden formation. Perhaps this is his fate." God King Ryeo said indifferently. Among the kings, only the Blood Shaman King had his eyebrows furrowed as he fell into deep thought. The scene in front of him was strange. It was completely different from what he had expected. Suju should have been taken away by the Academy Patriarch. Why was he still here? And there was another person. Where was the Academy Patriarch? Who was that purple-robed man? Monarch Lu asked. Who cares? The Cold-Eye Monarch waved his hand and said casually, "Those who are not important, just kill them all." Wu Dao's true body had entered the Grotto Heaven Realm, and he had only fought once in the Jianmu mountain range. That battle had caused quite a stir in the Heaven Realm, but it was not to the point where his name spread out of the Heaven Realm and spread across the 3,000 worlds. There were many peak kings in the 3,000 worlds. Who would care about someone who had just entered the Grotto Heaven Realm? None of the dozens of kings present recognized Wu Dao's true body. King Songmu chuckled and said, "I'm very curious now. This Sword World's Suju just escaped from the Eight Gates hidden formation and suddenly saw us. What kind of mood does he have?" Stone Puppet Monarch said, "I'm afraid he's scared to death." The group of kings burst into laughter upon hearing this. They did not hide their laughter. Pushing aside the faint fog, they walked towards Suzumo. Under everyone's gaze, Suju seemed to have heard their laughter and turned his head to look at them. Strangely, Suju did not show any surprise or fear on his face. Instead, he was extremely calm. Suju also looked at them strangely. He did not know what to say. Suzumo looked at the smiling and confident kings and smiled. To be fair, his main purpose in coming to the Celestial Tribute World was to lure out the Academy Patriarch. The others were not in his plan. Moreover, he had already left the Celestial Tribute World by using the Tai Yin-Yang escape art. Logically speaking, this group should not be able to find him. Since they had found him, it was not a big deal. He could just kill Wu Dao's true body. "How did you find me?" Suzumo asked. Haha. King Songmu couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. He said, "Do you think you can escape my Polychoria's detection with your movement technique?" Polychoria? Suzumo murmured, then nodded. He looked at Monarch Songmu and sighed softly. "So it was you who harmed them." Monarch Songmu blinked, not understanding what Suzumo meant. "Who did I harm?" Suzumo looked at the kings across from him. "This is probably your fate." Monarch Sunglory frowned. He just said the same thing. He stared at Suzumo and said slowly, "Are you trying to provoke me by imitating my tone?" Stone Puppet Monarch suddenly said coldly, "Don't waste words with him. Let's kill him first. I think Lu Yun and the others will catch up soon. We don't want to complicate matters." "All right." Suzumo clapped his hands gently and smiled. "Let's talk after we kill him." The moment he said that, Wu Dao's true body suddenly moved. He was behind Suzumo a moment ago. Now, he was in front of Stone Puppet Monarch in an instant. He was too fast. Right now, Wu Dao's true body could defeat a quasi-emperor expert just by relying on his physical body. His strength and speed were far beyond these kings. Stone Puppet Monarch was almost defenseless. How could he have expected that the purple-robed man who looked wretched and weak would suddenly appear before him? A huge sense of danger descended. Stone Puppet Monarch's eyes widened and his scalp tingled. His pupils constricted violently, and he instinctively wanted to support his perfected grotto heaven. However, Wu Dao's true body didn't give him the chance. He reached out and placed his palm on Stone Puppet Monarch's head, twisting it forcefully. Crack! Stone Puppet Monarch's head was snapped by Wu Dao's true body instantly. Shing! Following that, everyone heard a horrifying sound. Wu Dao's true body grabbed Stone Puppet Monarch's head and lifted it up, plucking Stone Puppet Monarch's head from his neck. Blood gushed out from his neck, and the broken flesh and bones were a shocking sight. Before anyone could react, Stone Puppet Monarch's head was crushed like a watermelon by that huge hand, splattering white and red blood everywhere. Chapter 2904. Hiss. The surrounding King Realm experts were greatly shaken as they all sucked in a breath of cold air. One had to know that the Stone Demon Monarch was a pinnacle king. His combat strength was at the top among them, but he couldn't even take a single blow from the purple-robed man. As a pinnacle king of the Stone race, the Stone Demon Monarch's strongest point was his physical body. He could even take on Grotto Heaven's spiritual treasures. But now, the Stone Demon Monarch's head was crushed by the purple-robed man. What kind of power was this? The king saw that Wu Dao's main body was in a sorry state, and his aura was weak. They didn't take him seriously at all. Who would have thought that Wu Dao's main body would be so terrifying? Wu Dao's main body fought the Academy Patriarch and used all his trump cards. It was indeed difficult for him to win. But even in his weakened state, Wu Dao's main body didn't take these kings seriously. How dare you? Kill. The Cold Eye Monarch, Divine Monarch Rieo, and the others were furious. They shouted and raised their grotto heavens. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, dozens of huge grotto heavens appeared, exuding a majestic but completely different grotto heaven power. They enveloped Wu Dao's main body. The Stone Demon Monarch died too easily. This scene shocked everyone. No one dared to hold back. They raised their grotto heavens and took out their grotto heaven's spiritual treasures without holding back. Wu Dao's main body didn't say a word. He ignored the Cold Eye Monarch, Divine Monarch Rieo, and the others' perfected grotto heavens and punched. The Cold Eye Monarch and Divine Monarch Rieo felt a suffocating pressure. At this moment, it was as if the sky was collapsing. This fist kept expanding in front of everyone's eyes. It was like a punishment from a god that came from the end of the heavens, wanting to destroy everything. Grotto Heaven's spiritual treasures, secret techniques, and talismans were all destroyed when they landed on this fist. Nothing was spared. Under the pressure of this fist, the dozen or so grotto heavens on the other side collapsed instantly. Their bodies were torn apart by this fist, and their blood stained the starry sky. The primordial spirits of these kings had nowhere to run. They were instantly obliterated by the power of Wu Dao's main body's punch. The difference was too great. It was simply unstoppable. Upon seeing this, the remaining kings all turned pale with fright. Just a single punch was enough to kill a dozen kings. What kind of existence did they provoke? How could there be such a person by Su Zhu's side? Run. This was the only thought left in everyone's mind. No one cared about killing Sword World's Su Zhu anymore. They just wanted to leave this place alive. King Lu Wu was the first to react. He turned into a beam of golden light and tried to escape. Wu Dao's true body moved half a step to the side. In just half a step, he had crossed the void and arrived behind King Lu Wu. Then, he punched his grotto heaven and body into pieces. After killing King Lu Wu, Wu Dao's true body didn't stop moving. Instead, his gaze landed on King Wu. Blood King Wu's heart trembled, and he was so scared his soul almost flew out of his body. Soul Mourning Curse. Decay Curse. Karmic Burning Karma Curse. In a moment of desperation, Blood King Wu instantly cast more than a dozen curses. Some targeted the essence spirit, some targeted the bloodline, and some targeted the physical body. Wu Dao's true body ignored these curses and strode over. He raised his hand and punched through King Wu's grotto heaven, killing him on the spot. The filthy and strange power of these curses landed on Wu Dao's true body and was instantly reduced to nothingness by his scorching blood qi. The remaining kings wanted to escape, but there was no way they could. Boom! Another punch was thrown. The starry sky caved in deeply as the surrounding space distorted continuously. This punch almost created a black hole in the starry sky. The group of monarchs didn't manage to get very far before they felt a massive suction force. Their grotto heavens were out of their control and seemed to be actively colliding with Wu Dao's true body's fist. Poof, poof, poof. In the starry sky, the grotto heavens shattered one by one and turned into streams of light that entered Wu Dao's true body. In the 9 Nethersin grounds, Wu Dao's true body had killed more than a dozen kings of the celestial worship world and devoured their grotto heavens. Now, this group of kings had taken the initiative to deliver dozens of grotto heavens to him. There were even many complete grotto heavens. If he absorbed all the grotto heavens in the celestial worship world and the dozens of grotto heavens in front of him, perhaps the cultivation of Wu Dao's true body could improve. In the starry sky, the bodies of the kings were torn apart and blood splattered everywhere. It was a shocking sight. It was a complete suppression. In the eyes of Wu Dao's true body, this group of kings was like a group of ants. Along the way, a casual punch could kill a group of them. You, who are you? Blood King Wu saw that he could not escape and could not help but scream. He shouted fiercely, "We are all from the various super realms. If you dare..." Before Blood King Wu could finish, his head was smashed by Wu Dao's true body. Faster, faster! Lu Yun and the others drove the immortal boat anxiously, following the tracks left behind by the Cold Eye King and the others. The Chi Dragon King shook his head slightly as he followed behind. Although they did not waste too much time outside the celestial worship world, it was more than enough time for the Cold Eye King and the others to kill a true spirit. Even if they rushed over now, it would be too late. Of course, these thoughts only flashed through her mind, and she did not say them out loud. The kings of the 3,000 realms also followed behind the Sword World people with the mentality of watching a show, whispering to each other. I think that there will be a big battle between the two sides when we catch up to the Cold Eye King and the others. If I were Lu Yun and the others, I would choose to return to the Sword World and make further plans. Now that the 6 super realms have joined forces, the Sword World is weak alone. If they continue to fight, their losses will be even greater. Speaking of which, the Cold Eye King and the Stone Skeleton King, these famous peak kings, joining forces to kill a true spirit is too much. Right at this moment, one of the kings sniffed lightly and said, "I smell blood. It's just ahead. Su Zhu from the Sword Dimension is probably dead." It didn't take long for the crowd to see a huge pool of blood in front of them. It looked like a huge lake. What's going on? A king frowned and said, "It's just killing a true spirit. There shouldn't be so much blood, right?" Not long after, the kings of the 3,000 realms had arrived. They subconsciously slowed down and looked at the scene in front of them, their faces full of shock. Pieces of broken body parts were scattered in the sky. Some heads were perfectly preserved, their eyes wide open, and their faces still had the fear of death. Many Grotto Heaven spirit treasures had turned into countless dim fragments, floating in the sky with large amounts of king's blood. The blood still gave off a lingering warmth. If these broken limbs were pieced together, one could still vaguely recognize the king's origins. The Cold Eye King, the Stone Skeleton King, Godly King Rieo, King Bloodly, King Wu Shui, King Lu Wu. Strangely, there was a black-haired, green-robed man who was bending his body and walking in the pool of blood, picking up storage bags. Chapter 2905. That was Sword Realm's Su Zhu. He wasn't dead. Instead, it was the dozens of kings who had been hunting him that had died. Not only that, but this true immortal was even wandering among the king's corpses, picking up storage bags and cleaning up the battlefield. The beings of the 3,000 worlds widened their eyes in disbelief. In such a tragic and bloody battlefield, the severed limbs of kings and divine weapons floated everywhere. It could be said to be a ghastly sight and incomparably shocking. However, the true immortal who should have died didn't fit in with the battlefield at all. The scene before them was indescribably eerie. Of course, They weren't naive enough to believe that the Frost Eye King and the other kings had died at Sword Realm's Suju's hands. That was impossible. Although Sword Realm's Suju was a true spirit and had comprehended many combat arts, the difference in strength between him and a Grotto Heaven Realm cultivator was too great. Even an ordinary immortal king could have easily killed Sword Realm's Suju, let alone dozens of kings, including peerless kings and peak-tier kings. But who had killed the Frost Eye King and the others? Everyone took a closer look and saw that the dozens of kings who chased after Suju had all died here. To be able to wipe out dozens of kings in such a short time. A quasi-emperor? An emperor? I didn't expect Sword Realm to have such a trump card. The Chi Dragon King took a long look at the people of Sword Realm and sighed. But soon, he frowned again. On Sword Realm's side, Lu Yun and the other 8 peak masters were also stunned by the scene before them. Their faces were full of shock, as if this was completely unexpected. Judging from the way these people died, it doesn't seem like a sword cultivator's doing. The Chi Dragon King looked thoughtfully at the figure in the pool of blood. But if it's not someone from Sword Realm, who could it be? Not to mention the beings of the 3,000 worlds. Even those from Sword Realm were shocked by the scene before them. Defeating a king was easy, but killing a king was extremely difficult. Outside Reverence Realm, a great battle had broken out between kings of various realms. Nearly 300 kings had been involved. How intense had that been? Even so, only a dozen or so ordinary kings had died after the battle. There were dozens of kings chasing after Su Zimo, and among them, there were even peak kings like the Cold Eye King and Stone Puppet King. Even if Lu Yun and the other peak masters worked together with Nightmare Dragon King, they might not be able to defeat this group, let alone kill them all. The person who attacked should not be from the Sword World. If it was an Imperial Lord of the Sword Realm, there was no need for him to leave or hide his tracks. He could just show himself. But if it wasn't the Sword Realm, then who would have saved Su Zimo? Furthermore, why would this person appear at such a timely and coincidental time? While everyone was still in shock and confusion, the figure in the pool of blood seemed to have cleaned up the battlefield and collected the storage pouches of the dozens of kings. The scholarly cultivator with a delicate face stood up and looked over at the crowd. He smiled and greeted. Sorry for being late, fellow cultivators. For some reason, the incomparably bloody scene in front of them, coupled with this cultivator's brilliant smile and mocking tone, caused a chill to run down the backs of the many living beings in the 3,000 realms. Who killed Suju, the Cold Eye King, the Stone Puppet King, and the others? The leader of the Poison Realm was the first to react with a dark expression and questioned loudly. I don't know. Su Zimo shrugged and said casually, someone happened to be passing by. Maybe he couldn't stand these kings bullying the weak, so he killed them with a few punches. Many of the living beings in the 3,000 realms couldn't help but roll their eyes. Who would believe such nonsense? Moreover, Suju had said it so casually that he was obviously fooling them. Those were dozens of kings, not 3-year-old children. How could he kill them with a few punches? The leader of the Tomb Realm harumphed and said, Suju, stop talking nonsense and putting on an act. Oh right. Su Zimo waved a hand and interrupted him before he could finish. Su Zimo glanced at the kings of the Poison Realm, Tomb Realm, and Insect Realm who were attacking him outside the Celestial Tribute Realm and said seriously with a smile, let me remind you, you should watch your tone when talking to me. The king of the Tomb Realm was furious. He was already furious that a true immortal had dared to interrupt him. How dare he talk to him like that? The kings of the Poison Realm, Insect Realm, and more than a dozen other realms frowned. Either way, Suju was only a true spirit. They were embarrassed to be threatened by a true spirit in front of so many people. Su Zimo's voice was heard again. He said calmly, if someone happens to pass by and doesn't like you, they might just kill you with a few punches. The kings from the Poison World, Tomb World, and other worlds were shocked when they heard this. The group of kings hurriedly patrolled the area and released their divine senses. They were on high alert, and a trace of panic and fear could be seen in their eyes. They had just witnessed the bloody scene of the Cold Eye King and the Stone Puppet King dying. Who wouldn't be scared after hearing such words? This was too scary. If Su Zimo had told them who the attacker was and where he came from, they wouldn't be so scared. This kind of vague, ambiguous, and unknown was the scariest thing. Suzimo sighed. You should be glad that you didn't chase after me with the Cold Eye King and the other kings. Otherwise, Suzimo didn't continue, but everyone could tell what he meant. Otherwise, it wouldn't be just a few dozen kings who died in the pool of blood. Hearing this, the kings of the Poison Realm, Tomb Realm, and more than a dozen other realms were indeed scared. Their faces paled, and they couldn't help but swallow. The starry sky suddenly fell into a strange calm, and it was perfectly silent. It was as if everyone was intimidated by an invisible force and fear. Sorry for disturbing you. Farewell. After a brief silence, the king of some unknown world cupped his fists towards Suzimo and left hurriedly with a sentence before turning to flee. The remaining kings of the other realms also ran away. They didn't dare to stay any longer. All the beings in the 3,000 realms didn't know whether to laugh or cry when they saw this. Many kings looked at Suzimo with complicated expressions and sighed. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have imagined that more than 200 kings from more than 20 realms, led by the 6 super realms, would be defeated just like that. The kings of the Poison Realm, Tomb Realm, and more than a dozen other realms could even fight with the Sword Realm's 8 Peak Masters and the Hornless Dragon King. But now, they were scared away by a true Spirit Realm cultivator. No one could imagine how big of an uproar this battle would cause in the 3,000 realms. But everyone knew that the Sword Realm's 9th Sword Peak Master's name would shake the 3,000 realms with this battle. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.